not following the lead. They're seeing it, but they're not going. What if you did the opposite?
All right. Hello and welcome back to Thoughts from Space Rock,
That was so
episode
quick.
12. Play the intro music.
That was impressive. I literally pushed the button and you were just ready to go on that.
That's true. That's
Amazing.
true. I guess the intro music already played.
Yeah, the intro music already did play.
Yeah.
So you botched that a little bit.
All right. Let's start on the topic list that we don't have. We don't know what we're going to talk about other than moving to Austin, the Amazon mini course maybe. I don't want to throw you out to...
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have some updates. That would be one of them. But
Yeah.
I feel like that's the big news here. The moving to Austin. No, the mini course.
The mini course.
No,
So
no.
What were you thinking?
Dude, you're moving to Austin.
Yeah. I'm gonna
Crazy.
move to Austin.
Play sad music. Play happy music. Play sad music for LA friends. And
Happy music.
we'll see
for
what
the
happens
no
to
Austin friends
this
that I
show.
have. Yeah.
But yeah, dude,
Yeah.
that's amazing. I mean, it's crazy. Like, it makes so much sense. One thing that you were telling me, like, yesterday or whenever day that was that we were talking on the phone is how somebody just said how much sense it makes for you.
Yeah.
Like, just your personality, your interests, and that is impossible to disagree with.
Yeah, man. I appreciate that. Like, I don't know. I guess we've been talking about it for a while now. Like, oh yeah, maybe Austin, and like, yeah, I'm sure even on this podcast we've talked about that before. I think there's a lot of things that kind of move the needle for me. Some of them were talking to people and like what a friend like said to me, like, I could totally see you there. Also, it's I just kind of realized that like there's no perfect option, and we can go into it, but it's like there's no perfect option. Like, getting out of college, it was kind of like really exciting to move to LA. Like, I'm just gonna move somewhere else. Like, I had never lived like an hour outside of the house that I grew up in. I was like, I'm just gonna drive across the country, like figure it out. Like, oh, I don't really have enough money, but I'm just gonna like burn my bridges and see what happens. And it was like really exciting and like adrenaline rushing. And at this point, it's kind of not that feeling for Austin. It's like, okay, so like I've been starting from zero for 2 years, and I'm going to just erase the entire progress that I've made and start again. So there's something that's actually like more scary this time in terms of like I like have this network of people here, and to be starting over is kind of scary. But I don't know. On the second hand, it's like we were talking, it's like I don't think I could see myself in LA long term, and it just feels like something that I should give a try.
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy that you can make this decision because, it's been on my mind too. And like, I mean, I even talked about it in like a video really recently, and I was just saying basically what you just said, which is long term, there's no way. Like, LA is not the place to be long term. And I can relate to you too on the moving here and the excitement, because I mean, I lived in California my whole life, but Northern California, Napa, like very different, and LA just had this sound to it. And
yes,
I was just like, oh shit, I'm gonna go to LA. Like, everything's gonna be totally different. Like, the beach is there and all this stuff is happening, and I'm gonna go to UCLA, and like my life's gonna be crazy, and like just
perfect weather.
Yeah, the weather and like different music and culture and food, and it just seemed like so much is happening. And I think like now that's maybe not what you're looking for, not what I'm looking for either. Is I'm more gravitating towards quiet, calm, focus, freedom in a way. Like, I feel like LA just has a lot of tension.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And like, you're right. It's like LA just has this fucking sound to it. It's like Los Angeles. Like, I've had people look at my ID. They're like, "Oh, you're from Los Angeles," and like, it does have a ring to it. And that's part of the reason I moved here. It's like, it just sounds really, really fun. And I was also like, I had never lived anywhere, like I said, an hour outside where I grew up. So I was just like, look, I'm just gonna move somewhere. Like, California, like, it's just such a part of the culture, and I just want to live there and experience what it's like, and like understand the I just like understand, because it is different, and like was I gonna it just felt like really like going for it.
Totally.
And now that I'm here, I feel like I have this other perspective where I realize it's like my idea of what a place is gonna be one thing, but then you go and it's like it's never gonna match up to your mind's idea of it is. I had been to LA for 2 days before I moved here, so
Wow, that's few. No, it's not a
yeah.
lot.
So like I don't know. I just feel like I do have more perspective on it, and like from visiting Austin, I was there for a week recently, and I've been there a few times in the last few years, and I don't know. It just like we can go into it, but it's just like the tension you're talking about in LA
Right.
doesn't seem to be paralleled in Austin. Like I don't know, the population density. It's like everyone is always like seems to be going somewhere. Like the streets are very narrow. It's one of the things for me
In
is
LA,
like
you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
is like when you go to an event or something, and it sometimes takes like an hour or more to get there, depending on if it's at a normal event time. It probably does take like an hour to get there, and it's all great, and I'm willing to like drive for events, and I really think like you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and I want to meet people, but it's like once you do meet people, then 90% of people in this city live 45 minutes or more away from me. So it's just tough to like have the kind of community that I think that I'm looking for.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like, well, what are you looking for? And I'll just say, because like I think, and maybe this is just that like we're in very similar places in our life, but I guess different in other ways. You know, like I have Jessica, and like I don't know, settled down, I guess you'd say, and like I maybe don't seek the community as much as you, for example. So I'm just curious, but at the same time, we're like drawn to these things for the same reasons. So I'm just curious, like what that is, like, because I haven't had that since I was a little kid. What it sounds like you're going for, which is just having like your crew, and like you could meet up almost every day and just like do a bunch of things, like, and that sounds really cool. But is that like kind of what you're getting at?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Like, I don't know. I've had this thing in my mind for a while. Like, it would be the coolest thing to like live like super close to like all of my best friends, and be able to just like meet up with people, and like I don't know, like I'll like walk to a coffee shop, and I don't know if Austin's gonna end up being that, but I think that it definitely could be. It's like it's also much more like price accessible for a much wider range of people. It's also like younger than LA, so it's got that like real like fun energy to it.
And one thing you were saying is that like you felt like you're just, for every person you meet there, your chances of them becoming a friend is much higher, which yeah, I can agree with that.
Exactly. Like, are there people that I love in LA? Absolutely. Like, I'm so happy that we met, and like, I mean, you're one of my best friends. Like, you and Armand are like my best friends in LA, but yeah, I think that on the whole, when you meet people, I don't want to fucking stereotype LA because everyone's different, but there's a lot of people. The example that I've given to people is like in LA, you meet someone and they're like, "Hey, how are you doing? How's it going?" And it's a really friendly way. They're like, "Hey, how are you doing?" Like, really friendly, outgoing, California. But in Austin, it's friendly, but in a different way. It'll be like, "Oh, hey, how are you doing?" And I think that the LA one has just like this fucking insecurity beneath it.
Right. Like well, is it like a little bit more of like a robotic response, you mean? It's more of just a programmed response rather than like, "Hey, how are you doing?" It's just like, "Hey, how you doing, Bill?"
I don't know. I think that LA people have like such strong personalities, and like everyone wants to be an actor here, and everyone wants to be a star here, and everyone is like striving for something. And I think that it's just not as common for people to want to like just take time and like relax and stuff. That, I mean, that's painting with a broad brush, but I just feel like it's a lot of people like I was talking to my friend and she was like, look, like, yeah, I'll just say what she said. She's like, I see you in Austin and like it's like quiet there, and like I see you like walking to a coffee shop and like meeting people. Like in LA, like people want to meet you because of who you are or like what you've done, and everyone's always trying to like network and like get something from you. And like I do feel like that in a lot of ways. It's like people are trying to like get something from me. Not always, not everyone, but there is this culture of like, I don't know, like I think there's a lot of toxic parts of the culture, and I hate like bashing it because there's so much that I love about LA, and like I've never even lived in Austin, and maybe it's like, who knows, right? I don't want to just like,
but it does seem,
but the grass actually is greener in Austin.
They have grass. We don't have much grass here. See, that's the problem.
The grass is existent in Austin.
Well, that's already that's greener by default. But I see what you're getting at. I mean, it's more like a what can I get out of you, or transactional, I guess. I feel like in Austin, and probably true of anywhere where there's like sort of less barrier to live, you probably get people that, you know, oh, it almost reminds me of that Einstein quote you told on like the 3rd episode or something about like having more time. Like, I don't remember the beginning of the quote, but it's something like, you know, if we figure out all this stuff where people don't have to work, then they can just work on their personalities or something like that.
Yeah, I remember.
And I feel like that's kind of what's happening in low cost of living places. Because I've heard the same, like my brother moved to Florida like a year ago now. And he said the same thing. It's like everything is, I mean, there's people there that like, I mean, not my brother. My brother has a very good job, but there's people there that work minimum wage, and they have a 2-bedroom apartment, and like, you know, they're probably like a 5-minute drive from the beach, and that's insane. I mean, here, like, I mean, if you're not like $100K a year just to freaking survive, I feel, you know.
And like one of the reasons I also moved here is because I knew that it would force me to level up, just the cost of living, being around everyone. Totally. Like in College Park, Maryland, if your business is doing $100K a year, then you're in the top whatever percent. But it's hard to have that model of like what you want to strive towards. In LA, there's so many people making like $1 million, 10 million or more a year, and they're all just like, they're everywhere.
They're here.
And
they're next door.
You meet people that know them, or like you talk, and like you're right next door. And it's like, it really did force me to level up. At the same time, there's this balance with creativity. It's like, does tension and like insecurity and like lack of time cause creativity, or does like relaxation and silence and all the time in the world cause creativity? And
yeah, that one.
Yeah, I mean, well, you could also say it's a balance, because a lot of my most creative times have been when I was like, oh shit, like I need to do something or I'm gonna run out of money.
And there's probably some, like, even in the arts, not in like business, there's probably some people that kind of feed off of that craziness, you know, like they need that like hit of insanity to get into that space.
And it's like, you also need like a deadline. It's like, what's gonna cure writer's block more than a deadline? It's like, you got to get rid of it. So I don't know, it's like, it is a balance, but deep down I think that like there's all of these stresses. And like I even talked to you, it's like where I like the apartment that I'm in, it's like there's like cars driving by that are kind of right next to it, and like I have, the walls are like sort of thin, and I have like neighbors. I'll like, I mean, nothing on them, but like, yeah, I kind of like will hear them walking, or in the morning if something gets dropped, like I'll like be lightly sleeping, like I'll like just notice myself wake up because of a noise and go back to bed like right after. And I think that Austin is also less noisy. And the air quality also matters to me. Like, like, I don't know what the effect is, but also that's sort of the entire nature of air quality, is like you don't really know what the effect is, but just intuitively, it like, I think that when I travel places that have cleaner air, I feel like I feel it.
Totally. I mean, so I feel that a lot in Hawaii. I mean, Hawaii has probably the cleanest air on probably the planet, I would guess. Austin, yeah. I mean, so from sort of the biohacking health nerd perspective, for one, as polluted as LA is, having the beach and the breeze is actually pretty beneficial. Like, as horrible as it is, like, that does clear out quite a lot. It also brings like a ton of soot and crap. Like, I mean, dude, we just get black shit by our windows. I mean, it's like, and like the place gets dusty in a day. I mean, so it's definitely not good, but also like having the beach on one side.
Is that the smog or is that the dry air or what?
I don't know for a fact, but I feel like it's not natural because it's black. I mean, like,
dude,
if you look
right.
at,
I get
like,
that on my window.
Look by the screen door right there. Like, it just gets filthy. And
I have the same thing
balcony.
Same exact thing on
the
mine.
closer to the beach, the more you get that here. I know people that live, a half mile in from the beach, and it's not like that. But people, dude, I'll see people here that like plant vegetables in their garden, and I'm like, ugh, I don't know about that. Like, it's covered in black stuff. Like, it's crazy. It's not good. But what I was saying is that there are some benefits to it, actually, because not to go too far down the rabbit hole, but there's other pollutants, right? Like, say, EMF exposure, and by having the ocean,
what's EMF, by the way?
Electromagnetic frequency. So,
right.
Cell towers, even stuff in your own house, Wi-Fi, smart meters, your cell phone, whatever. By having the ocean on one side, you're basically limiting that exposure quite a lot because there's no cell towers that direction. Right. You know what I mean? So it is a weird benefit, and also being able to ground and sort of fix that problem by touching the ground, touching the ocean. I mean, that's the most grounded place you can really be. I don't know how I got onto that. Where were we? I feel like that was a side note.
Well, we're talking about like the health of the environment.
Yeah, I mean, air quality definitely matters. I mean, I just got a new air purifier. I'm super pumped on. I must be old if I'm like the most excited thing in my life is like this awesome new air purifier I got. If anyone's actually like caring about this, let me get into it for like a split second.
Yeah, do it.
Because
really cool.
I did a lot of research. I mean, I geek out on this stuff, and this one was like quite an upgrade. Like, it was not cheap. I thought about this it was on my list of something I wanted for over a year. And then I saw it was like $100 off on Amazon one day, and I was just like, "Fuck, I have to order it now." I wasn't even planning on it, and I was like, "But like $100 off is pretty solid, right?" So it's the Allen Breathe Smart, and I got the 75i, which is the biggest one, designed for like a house basically. Even though we're in an apartment, but I just figured the more power it has, it's just gonna like deeper suck out from the corners of the place and stuff, you know. So I feel like I might as well get one that's more strong than the environment it's in will work better. And the thing that blew my mind and why I think this is the most incredible product I've maybe ever bought is I had a $100 air purifier for the past 5 years. It's still in the bedroom right now. And that thing on setting, that thing at full blast, full max, I think is rated for like, I don't know, 600 square feet or something like that. And we would never even put it on that setting because it's like loud as fuck. We would put it on setting 1 or 2, which is probably for like 200 or 400 square feet or something like that. This new one on the max setting, like on the 13 or 1400 square foot setting, is dead quiet. It's literally amazing. I don't know how they engineered this thing. Like, this thing must be made by like the best engineers on the planet. And the noise it does make is tuned to be like perfect, like pink noise or whatever. So it's actually tuned for sleeping. If you were to put it in like your bedroom, it's supposed to be that like that soothing noise. So they put a lot of effort into the machine. I'm like ridiculously impressed. Also, it's like, you know, obviously supposed to be very effective too, based on all the research. It actually came to the way I stumbled on it first was one of my favorite entrepreneurs, DHH, David Hannemeyer Hansen, one of the founders of Basecamp. Coolest dude ever. I mean, like, he obviously super successful, but writes a lot about things you'd be interested in, you know, like working less, focusing on, you know, like calm work environment and, you know, not overstressing your employees too. Really interesting stuff. And he also just has like the best taste in design. Like, he custom built his house in Malibu, and it's insane. I mean, it's like the coolest house ever. And he's and for the car nerds like myself, I mean, this guy has owned some multi-million-dollar cars that are absolutely irreplaceable. He's also like a racing driver, like pro in his spare time. So kind of like Tim Ferriss-esque in terms of like, just going off and doing this other shit.
And he also created Ruby on Rails, right?
Yeah, he created Ruby on Rails. And anyways, so he when he built this freaking, I don't even know how expensive Malibu house, he invested a lot into making the entire place have this like filtration system built in through it. In the way that the place insulates, and I don't know that much about it in that way in terms of like a building, but he researched that a lot and had this, probably some firm like build that into the plans or whatever. And when he got the place, like I think it was his wife started getting sick like very soon after, and like had this, I don't know what the symptoms were, I don't remember, but he wrote about this. He has a video about it. If you type it into YouTube, you can actually find it. And it turned out to be that because his house was so new and so perfectly insulated that nothing was ventilating properly. So say like the off-gassing from a new couch, obviously that can build up and, have formaldehyde and toxic stuff. But, typically if you have an air purifier, if you open a window, that wouldn't be a problem. But if you have these pristine like glass and concrete buildings that like hardly need heat or cold because they're so insulated and so airtight. If you have that, then it doesn't ever clear. So that was like his problem. And then he like went into this. He's like a genius and geeked out on air purifiers. Long story short, he figured out that this one, he tested like all of them with these $10,000 meters, and he determined like that one was the best. Factoring in the volume, because you can have an air purifier that's super effective, but it sounds like a freaking like truck going by. But yeah, I mean, I knew that going into it, it would be quiet, but this thing blew my mind. I mean, like I don't understand how it can be on the highest setting and literally just sounds like.
All 4 of our listeners just bought it.
I know, seriously. So use my affiliate link. No, seriously. Like I think this is something people should invest in. Is like it's gonna increase the air quality is important for your health on so many levels, and like having a good one for your house. This thing has a lifetime warranty. Like, dude, I will absolutely be a salesman for these guys. I mean, I wanted this thing for over a year, and it's exceeded my expectations by like $1 million in like the first 24 hours.
Hell yeah. Yeah, if I ever need one,
dude,
I can't imagine buying anything
Alan
else.
Breathe Smart. You heard it here first.
The Alan Breathe Smart.
Alan, that's ALEN.
Sounds like it's gonna be a name.
What do you mean?
It's like it's the name of the company is Alan Breathe Smart.
I don't get it.
It's like, is Breathe Smart the last name?
Oh.
Like, I don't know.
Hey, yeah, this
That's
is Mr. Breathe Smart. No. I guess Alan is the name of the brand, and then Breathe Smart is kind of like the line of products, and then 75i is the one that I got. But it even has like a mode for having all the lights be off. Like, it's just thoughtful. You know?
Yeah. I hate it when products are like, oh, yeah, there's a red light. It's on all the time when the product is on, just to let you know that the product is on. It's like, yo, if the product is on, maybe I'll just know it. Like, especially on TVs, it's like, oh, sorry, what? The red light tells me that the TV is off? Oh, okay. I didn't know how else I would know that the TV is off.
Yeah, I mean, nobody can see this except you, but in the middle of that TV, that's black tape to cover the Samsung logo, which is lit 24/7, whether the TV is on or off. So I cover that in black tape. I do this also for sleep hacks. You want to cover all the LEDs and stuff like that because it interferes with your melatonin production, all that stuff. But so I appreciate it on multiple levels. But yeah, this machine, you just tap the power button once, and like all the lights are off. It's amazing.
Yeah, I almost
every
wonder,
product should have that.
I guess I don't know how much you could sell it for, but I almost wonder if you could have a business where you like just do some Facebook ads or something, and you sell people like a real easy way to cover up the red lights. Like,
it's out there.
Market's big
so I have some of those actually. I think it's made by True Dark. I got them like in this subscription box I was in for a while, but I have them covering a lot of things. On that light switch, like that little bit of black, there's like a LED there usually, and a bunch of other ones like in the bedroom and stuff. But yeah, no, I mean, they're really cheap. Oh, even on my stove. Like, so the stove has like a clock and like a timer, and it's just like those green LEDs. Mm-hmm. So I actually have one that's like a cut to size. And so if you look at our stove, it's like this dim red film over the light, so you don't get any of that light seeping out. We have those on pretty much everything possible. But yeah, like why is it not just an option by default? That's why like I'm so appreciative of them putting this feature in, you know? Like not a single light on the machine
That's great.
when it's in that mode, which it should always be, I guess.
For sure.
Yeah. I'm pumped about it. I made a lot of big purchases in the last week. I need to tone it down.
Matt, you need to scale it back. This is getting insane.
This is getting insane. The other thing, while we're on this tangent, you know, because you already tasted it, but we also got an espresso machine.
Espresso machine.
Like a legit fucking like cafe quality, like legit commercial grinder. I mean, this thing is amazing. Already, like this was just like the week of life-changing purchases. Like this is already one of my favorite things that I own also. I can't believe how awesome it is to have this super quality espresso machine in my freaking kitchen.
Yeah, man.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's for people that are curious, it's Rocket Apartamento. Get one. It's amazing.
Yeah. So what, I feel like we need to take this in a direction right now.
Definitely need to take it in a new
Anything
direction.
else? I feel like maybe we can even go more. Is there any other thoughts you have on like lifestyle, Austin, LA?
We could definitely go deeper there, I think. I mean, I feel like we didn't quite, I don't know how we got on. I guess we got on the tangent because of air quality, and then that led to the air purifier.
Another thing about Austin that I hypothesize, who knows if I'm right, is that LA has a lot of incredible entrepreneurs, incredible like achievers, but I wonder also if Austin, it's going to be even maybe easier to meet people because while there's definitely a community, but it's not quite as like massive and sprawling in as LA, and maybe people will connect with each other more.
Maybe.
And are more like have free time. And I don't know, like back when I was in College Park, I organized these like entrepreneur dinners like every 2 weeks for a time, and there was like 6 of us, and we would all get together and have dinner. And somehow in LA that just feels very impractical, and we could do it also. Maybe I just don't know quite the number of people to get the numbers to be worth it. But like in LA, like if you're gonna, let's say, all right, you live in Hermosa, I live in Venice, and then someone lives in West Hollywood, someone lives downtown. So what happens the week that we do it in downtown, and then it's gonna be an hour and a half for me or you to get there, like a fucking hour and a half, and then 30 minutes back, and that's 2 hours of your waking hours, which might only be like 14. Like that's a lot of your day, and it's just like, and also you're gonna come, but then fucking Fred in West Hollywood didn't come, and now we only have like 3 of us. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, even when I would plan Amazon meetups and stuff, it would always be, I mean, half the people were going to be bummed no matter what based on where it was.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be super far for downtown people, or super far for Santa Monica people, or super far for whatever else, Valley people. So
it's like once population density gets into a certain point, this is kind of tangential to the travel, but once population density gets to a point, you can't turn the dial back. It just is packed.
Yeah. Though I mean, do you think that will last? I mean, do you think that in 50 years, is there a point to being in a big city anymore?
Dude, it is tricky to predict 50 years from now.
That's true. But like, I mean,
will
you think
the
about
simulation even still be running in 50 years?
Even think of, I'll hit the reset button pretty soon here.
Yeah.
It's looking a little iffy.
I saw a tweet yesterday. I was like, seems like the simulation is getting pretty shaky. they might have to.
I love.
They might have to reboot.
Yeah, seriously, dude. There's some shit that it's just really. I love the simulation. Like you just using it as a lighthearted joke, kind of half joke, half almost serious. But it's a great way to just be like, yeah, this is proof. I like to say like, oh, that just happened. That's proof of the simulation, right?
Yeah,
there.
you know what's proof of the simulation? That it's impossible to fully know that it's a simulation.
Yeah. True. I suppose.
Yeah. The entire point of the simulation is that you don't know you're in it.
Yeah.
So if you don't believe that it's the simulation, that's further proof that it is actually, in fact, the simulation.
I suppose.
Yeah. I'm lost with this thread.
No, but so, okay, reel it back.
Okay.
As far as like not needing big cities anymore, in a way, I feel like that's how Austin caught on, because like
yeah, you're
look how many
right.
like companies are moving to Austin, and like Austin was just a random place in the middle of fucking Texas. And like I mean, so many all the big companies have like moved ahead, like one of their headquarters to Austin,
Yeah.
and or even more random places than Austin, because everything is just interconnected now in a different way. Whereas
Yeah, you're
like
right.
you know, you or I do not need to be in LA for any reason. And I think that's one of my biggest reasons for why the fuck am I in LA is there's not a single reason that I have to be in LA. You know? Like if you
Right.
have to be in New York or LA or San Francisco for work, okay, you have a reason to be there. For us, for anybody else, why are we subjecting ourselves to it? Other than, I mean, there's a lot of pros to it
Yeah.
still, but you know, I think most people are here because of like a specific opportunity, a job that they have, their families around, you know, life. But if you don't have a reason, it's definitely not a logical place to be if you don't have a reason. But one thing I did want to get on, but like before,
Which is something that puts us different from like almost every person here.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, in my circle, you know, there's people like us, I guess you'd say. Which like for me, since I kind of want to talk a little about the positives of LA too,
We should absolutely.
because and that's where I'm at, because as much as I want to leave, I'm just like how I don't feel like I'm finished, if that makes sense.
Okay.
And like for you, like you're seeking this community, and for me, like look, I definitely think I'm more introverted than you, and I don't need that many people. And I feel like I have not like a crazy quantity of friends, but I have like the best like overall quality score of quantity and quality of friends, if you get what I'm getting at. Like
Yeah.
I have like a solid handful of friends that I like that it's crazy. And back to the meeting people randomly thing is, I mean, that's something that is, I mean, for somebody like me, for somebody introverted like me, that's probably like the hardest thing in the world, is to randomly meet somebody and become their friend. And one of my best friends, I literally met at a coffee shop, like just not just like literally just like we started talking, and like now he's one of my best friends. And I'm the least likely person that could replicate that, if you know what I mean. And that happened here because of the way it is. You know, there is a sub community. Like, you know, for me, I'm really into the health thing is a really good way to find people that are into this stuff, I find.
For
My friend that I'm referring to, his name is Anish. You've met him like once.
Yeah. He's in Venice, right?
Yeah, or
Okay.
well, not anymore, but he was at that time. He was living pretty near you.
Okay.
He's looking for a place right now, actually. So he like meets so many people at, say, Bulletproof Cafe and Erewhon, because at those places you find people that care about their health, are thinking outside the box, are most likely entrepreneurs. I mean, those places are like the craziest combination of people. Like those are my people, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, that's why I love to bring people to those places. I love to meet up with people at those places, because you will just see people there that are on the wavelength that I'm on, at least. Like maybe it's a little more of that like health side, but I feel like there's a huge overlap between that and what I'm looking for, which is not just the entrepreneur scene, because maybe less than you, I feel like I don't relate that much to the entrepreneur scene right now. I just feel like it's just like every time I get a message, it's just about, you know, how do I maximize growth in my business? I'm like, well, is that even the question you should be asking yourself? I mean, what about maximizing your free time? What about maximizing your happiness? What about thinking about your health or longevity? What about like thinking about your life, not just how do I maximize this one KPI in my business? You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's like these ROI fiends. And so, I mean, that's a negative thing to say about entrepreneurs in general. Obviously, that's not everybody, but I just don't relate to that side right now. And I feel like these Bulletproof, these Erewhon people, it's amazing how much you can run into these people. And yeah. So for me, it's like that's a hard thing to leave. Is like I finally have this group of friends, and I kind of know where to find more of them. Like I know where the source is here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
You found the fountain.
Like even in Austin, there is like a community like that, but it's not like here. But then it's so weird too, because as much as you can find these amazing forward thinking LA people who meditate and go to Erewhon and like don't have a job and they figured out a business and they're making multi six figures a year and they're meditating on the beach for an hour every morning and all that stuff. But then it's not the healthy place to be doing those things. So it's like this weird juxtaposition of everyone, all the stuff is here, but it's not it's not even the place to be doing it. It's weird. But I think my biggest reservation on leaving is just that I feel like I haven't like even with the interview podcast I want to start, like this would be a really stupid time for me to leave when I still haven't even like tried to interview people that are here in LA.
Right.
Like if I especially if I was going to say move to Hawaii or something, then I'm like, I mean, there's nobody there, that would be doing that. And even less of the community. That's why I think you're right that Austin is a good balance.
I mean, honestly, I look at all of the podcasts that I listen to, and everyone I can think of right now is done in Austin.
Me too. So I wanted to bring that up. How you were saying it might be easier to meet people there. That was that's when I first started hearing about Austin. That was why. It was because why is every single podcast I listen to based in Austin? Literally all of them. I mean, we could name a million right now. Like the first podcast I ever got into, business podcast, Tropical MBA. I mean, they're also like digital nomad moving around, but like they're based in Austin. Noah Kagan, Tim Ferriss, Aubrey Marcus, Mike Dillard. I really like. He's in Austin. Ryan Moran, capitalism.com. He's in Austin. There's just like all of them. It's crazy. But then you get like the health podcasts and they're here, which is weird. Or they're out in like middle of nowhere, Washington, like in the forest.
Yeah. Shit. I don't know. I watched this Gary Vee clip the other day, and he was like, people just waste so much time on the 50-50 decision, and they're not sure, and they wait, and it's like, shit, you can never know what's gonna happen. Like, you never know. Like, maybe one good, quote-unquote good thing, you're gonna 5 years from now get hit by a bus, and you could say that for either scenario. But that's what I'm thinking is like, I think one of the most important things is just to be able to make a decision one way or the other. It's like, am I sure that Austin is going to be the right thing? Like, absolutely not. But I just know that LA just doesn't feel sustainable for me. And I feel like at this point, I have enough information to really feel ready. And yeah, man, I don't know. I think a lot of it is like, I feel like people in Austin as a whole, here I am judging it without ever living there, but as a whole, I think that people probably take themselves less seriously. And like, I think the whole city doesn't have as big of an ego as LA does. Just like, I'll even like walk down the street and like, I don't know, I feel like there's a lot of ways that like the culture isn't as friendly. Like, culture, I've heard, is like just a sum up of everyone's actions, which is true, but then it also sort of works the other way, where the sum of everyone's actions is a reflection of the culture. So it goes both ways. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like everyone has their own perspectives, and maybe I'm like, I keep like apologizing and like framing what I'm saying, because like, I don't know. I know how it could be like offensive to someone who really does love LA, and they're like, wow, Sam just like clearly didn't do what he needed to do here. And like, I'm understanding of that perspective, but like, for me, I just have to like be confident in my perspective anyway, even if some people might disagree with it.
That's a good point to make, is like, look, and I don't think you'd be offending those people. I think somebody listening to this that loves LA, and those people, there are people that LA is the absolute best place for them to be. And if they love it, I mean, they would just be like, oh, well, it's not for him, but
right.
it's for me who's listening. And I don't think you've said anything like fuck LA. Like you're just kind of giving okay. Oh, now you said it. Never mind. But
just kidding.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't worry about that. But, it is important to say is in so many ways, like LA kind of is the best place ever. It's crazy. I watched this video about LA, and this was a while back, so it's going to be one of those botched recollection type of moments, but it was saying how every city is known for something. Like, I don't know, like a city might be known for its really old architecture, or another city might be known for making wine, or a city might be known for coffee shops or history, all these things. And it was saying how LA is just a brand, and how LA is known for hope and possibility. Like it's not about the history. It's about hope and possibility. And I was like, whoa, like that's the thing that drew both of us in though, right?
Right.
It was like, like something's happening there, Whereas everywhere else, it's like, oh, they have the Golden Gate Bridge, or they have like, I don't know, the Chicago Cubs. I don't know, like there's just like all these like historical things, right? Like
they have a big mirror in the center of the city.
yeah, exactly.
What the fuck?
Like that's what like the identities of these places are. Whereas LA, it's and not just that it's the hope, it's like it's that is embodied in this brand. Like you said, like Los Angeles. Like it just sounds away.
Yeah.
It creates an image in your head. And I think it's because that's tied to the hope and possibility.
Yeah. And like everyone here is a dreamer. It's a city of dreams.
Right.
Like
exactly.
Everyone has something that they're striving for. And there's certainly like, I think like the other side of ambition is like insecurity, and the higher the ambition, the higher the insecurity. It just kind of is like, if you want to be somewhere else, then you might be insecure with where you are. Like these things in cities, in culture, they probably go hand in hand. But what's really beautiful about the ambition is like these people are really hopeful, and everyone really believes in a future that excites them.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's like the beauty of it, right? I mean, that's what makes it such an exciting place to be, is people are doing things. People are hopeful. People are trying to change something, to get somewhere. But like you put it, I mean, that's the other side of the coin of that ambition, is the insecurity. I mean, that's why people here are not very content. People here are not very okay. It's like, there was something I wanted to earlier. You said something, like here you'll see people next door that are, rather than the 100K being impressive, there's people that are 1 million, 10 million, 1 billion, whatever. But the thing that they don't have is knowing when enough is enough at all. Like it's never enough in LA, because it's always about the more thing, which was a Gary Vee thing too. I remember he even made shirts that said more, and I loved it. It was like my favorite thing at the time, and now I hate it. I feel like it's actually the opposite message. It's weird. Like I feel like now I'm like less. But at the time, but that more message is like enticing. That's like I feel like it ties in with the LA thing. It's just like you got to do this and try this and try this, and you could build this, and it's just this more, like let's do it all. And but I think it's covering up insecurity, like you said. And I'm definitely much more drawn towards like, how do I find that calmness? One thing that I feel like is coming up almost like tangentially is I'm so excited to read this book.
Same.
Ryan Holiday's new book. Yeah.
Same here. Yeah.
So I just got it. I haven't even started, but stillness is the key. I feel like it's just one of those things that is like right place, right time. Like this is I literally feel like we're having the conversation that's probably in this book, even though we haven't read it yet.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's part of the reason one of the things that made me think about moving to Austin is I just saw the title and I was like thinking like, oh yeah.
Yeah. So I just saved a couple articles to read later today, because Ryan Holiday sent out an email this morning, and it had a few links to like prior articles, like something about like why who
also lives in Austin, by the way.
Right. And it was like why he loves Texas, or how he found Texas and all this stuff. And just like what his life's like there. And like, yeah, no, seriously, he's been a big reason why Austin appealed to me as well as all these other entrepreneurs that constantly were talking, 5 years ago about Austin. I'm like, holy shit, like what's going on over there? That was before I had ever gone to Austin. But yeah, I mean, he definitely has found that stillness, and he's outside of Austin as well. I mean, we should make that clear. I have a feeling he's probably like 30 to 60 minutes outside of Austin.
True.
Dude, I saw this one place once on I was looking up on like Trulia for fun, and it was a legit hour outside of Austin.
Yeah.
but like me and Jessica were like, holy fuck, like should we move here? Like it was just the
Oh my
coolest house
God.
ever. And it was like I want to say $300 more a month than our place, but it was like
Oh my
brand new,
God.
absolutely stunning. Like the entire place was like stone and modern and like had this like stained glass and like it had land and it was like the only house in the area. It was the coolest fucking house I've seen. I was like, whoa, like if I had infinity money to build a house from scratch, I wouldn't even think to make a house that cool. Like that's how cool this house was. And it was like, I think it was originally listed at like $3,600 a month and then it like dropped and I was like, fuck, like how is this possible?
Oh my God.
Dude, it's like unreal. But that was like I said, that was, and I'm like, so we're considering moving to Austin, but what if we were an hour outside of Austin? Now we're just living in some random ass Texas town, which is weird and probably not good for like all the other aspects we're talking about, like community and meeting people. But I was like, we would either go insane out there or we would just feel like this is our perfect oasis.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned the people, like, I genuinely believe you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And it sounds so simple, but I look back on my life. I look back to, like, when I was most motivated, when I was most happy. A lot of times it's just when the people around me are feeling these things, and I kind of mirror it. And, yeah, part of me thinks that, I don't know. Oh, I'm not really sure where I'm going, but a lot of this conversation about LA and what's toxic about it also like could be reflected as, well, what's toxic about the US? Because LA in a sense is like America is interesting because it's like all about individuality and like the power of the individual, and like LA is almost in a sense the America of America. Like if America's top export is like culture, music, movies, like these, like a lot of world culture does come from America, and if that's the case, then LA is like the center of that, and it's like exporting culture to the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it also comes down to these questions of like, what is it to be a person? Like, I knew you'd laugh at that.
Sorry, it's not funny.
No, but as I was saying it, I knew. But it's like, what I mean by that is like, well, it's like questions of identity too. Like even in like other countries.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing because I was just like, is that the title?
What is it to be?
I feel like that's how we always make these titles. It's just like,
what is it to be a person? It's gotta be.
Oh man, reel it back. You're saying something good. I don't mean to derail it so much. I just
It's like, I don't know. I think like a lot of my neighbor was saying that he lived in Colombia for a few months, and I live in this apartment building with like 14 different apartments, and what he was saying is, oh my God, like if this was the case in Colombia and we were living there, like you wouldn't not know anyone. Like the culture is just so communal that people talk to each other, this and that. I think in LA, a lot of what makes LA special is that people are very individualistic here. But then the flip side of that is that people are lonely and people feel like I am me and I am separate. And that's also causes them to maybe not be as willing to like almost like vulnerability. I bet is harder for people here as a whole because people want to feel special and they want to feel different.
yeah.
And vulnerability is all about like sharing this similarities and like sharing like the things that are like hard to share. And I think that, I don't know, I think that it's like the opposite of ego is like vulnerability and connection. And yeah,
It's true, and I feel like it could be part of the sickness of LA is the lack of actual community. And I mean, it's also just a symptom of technology, not just LA.
Right.
But, you know, I feel the most energized after we have like a dinner with friends, you know, like say like last time we did the podcast, it was like with Armand and you and like those conversations are like the most energizing thing I think I do.
Yeah.
And and for sure about the people you live around too. You know, like my last apartment was it was similar. It was like 10 or 12 units, and we didn't know anybody in that building. I mean, like literally, like after 2 years of living there, we had met like 2 of them. Like it was crazy. It was just so isolated, despite it being like a relatively small building. But yeah, and you know what else it relates to is, so like, you know, Jessica's Mexican. She's from Mexico originally. Therefore her family is also Mexican. And, you know, other cultures, especially
what a coincidence. Her family is also.
Can you believe that? I mean,
her and her family. That's
I know.
gotta
it's
be
like,
so nice for them to share that.
It's just really nice that they're all Mexican. They can really relate on that.
You really won the lottery.
Yeah, I know.
Same
It's
as
like,
your family.
I know.
Anyway.
It's like, what are the odds that
Yeah.
14 out of 14, like however many people,
Everyone. 0.01% maybe.
No, but so I don't think it's just Mexican culture. But it's definitely like a non-US thing. Is like the focus on family as community too.
Yeah.
You know, like growing old in the same place as your grandparents. Even like, I mean, none of us are doing that out here in LA. I mean, I don't know any. There like nobody's grandma's out here in LA. Like I don't. Like, do you know anybody that their grandma's here in LA?
No.
Right. I don't think there's any. I mean, I'm joking, obviously, but like,
there's no. I've never seen a grandma here,
dude. Interestingly, you don't see them on the road, which is weird. Because anytime I go somewhere else, I'll like be on the highway, and I'm like, whoa, this person next to me on the highway is like 70 or 80 years old. I think here it's like probably too intense, but you never see that ever. Like you don't see it, which is interesting. But kind of a digression. But like, the point is you know, I think that's a huge part of community. Is, you know, in Mexico, or I'm sure in other cultures, like people might live in a giant house with their extended family and, you know, eat dinner together, and kind of like, it's kind of a community in itself, you know, especially if it's like a rural environment, maybe, or maybe not especially, I don't know, maybe either way. But, and I think it's true of other cultures. Like I'm sure it's true in Spain or Italy, or probably a lot of other ones too, is just this more community based and also family based. And I think it kind of fills that void that we're not getting here, whether it's family or friends.
Something I'm thinking about in Austin, and I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this. Have you ever heard of the company Outsite?
No.
It's these, they have houses like all over the world. There's like a bunch in LA. There's, I think, one in Austin. There's some in like a lot of these big cities. Like there's one in Bali, in these like popular like digital nomad cities. And I think it's like a yearly membership, might be $250, and then you get like 30% off to stay there. But I looked it up, and like they have these houses with like 5 rooms and like super fast Wi-Fi, free coffee, like desks and stuff in the house. And you live with people that are all like either staying for a few nights or maybe a long term. And I looked it up, and I think that you can stay up to like 2 months or something, and it would be maybe like 20% less than my rent now to like have my own room there for 2 months.
Yeah.
I mean, like, maybe I'll just do that for the first, like, I'm so tired of moving different places. And my first year in LA, I moved probably like 8 different times, and that was just like so exhausting.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe I will like do that for
That's
the
an
first
interesting
month,
thought.
first
And I
2
think
months.
that's an emerging thing, like these community living. Like, isn't
Yeah.
even WeWork doing some of that?
They are. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think WeWork quite has the brand or
Right,
culture
right.
for that to succeed.
No, I'm just
but
saying it's like proof of concept kind
for
of
sure.
that it's like,
it's
I think
absolutely
this
the future.
community living is for sure an emerging thing. You know,
Yeah.
like, like say like high-rise buildings that have, like, this is the future, like high-rise building that has, you know, apartments, offices, conference rooms, a gym, a vertical garden that grows all the produce that the entire building eats, and like, you know, like a cafe, like in like, I don't know, like delivery, laundry, or just like all this like integrated living. I mean, I don't think it appeals to me, but I feel like it appeals to a lot of people. Kind of like that, like you said, kind of like that dorm living. Like it's kind of like a adult dorm in a way, right? It's like, how do we just make this lifestyle like very accessible and kind of everything at your fingertips? Like, this is a random one, but I hate printers. And like our printer broke, and I'm like, we have this stupid printer. I've been through like 5 printers. They're just like programmed to die after a year. And I'm like, why does there's probably some apartment complexes that do this, but why can't you just print something like and have it like brought to your door? Like, why does every house need a printer? It's just so wasteful, right?
Yeah.
And how often are you printing stuff? I mean, people have a printer and they
less and less.
Yeah, I would use that printer like once every 3 weeks, and it's like I didn't replace it. Now, like when we need to print something, we've been like either asking a friend or like walking to the library. Like I'm never buying a fucking printer for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Set it here right now. That's it.
We're gonna set a reminder for 5 years from now. See if he's bought one.
Dude, I will refuse. I would totally pay how much would it be? Especially if you lived in a big building, you pay $1 and somebody brings it up to your door. Yeah.
Postmates, but for printers.
That's our $1 billion idea. You're right here. Yeah, but then it would become inefficient. But like, it makes sense in a big building, or even in like a neighborhood. Like, even if it's not a building, like think about how people lived hundreds of years ago. Like one place was, they were getting eggs. The other place was getting milk. They were trading for the carrots. They were, and it's like, we live in just this isolated world now. Every house has a printer. Every house is going to the store buying all the same shit. Whereas it used to just be like, say you had this like perfectly isolated neighborhood of like 20 families. It could be self-sustainable. And that's crazy that we've moved so far away from the self-sustainable world to the point where it's illegal. It's illegal to, like create something and sell it. Like you can't sell unprocessed milk, for example. Like you can't have a cow, milk it, and sell the milk or eggs or something like that. There's all these crazy licenses and regulations and for like, safety reasons. Course, like, yeah. I'm sure there's some there's some well-intentioned stuff at the beginning, but how crazy is that? Like that you can't have a self-sufficient community. It's actually, it's like, then,
well, couldn't you like get it licensed?
I don't know. I mean, I guess probably if you like register every, say, house in the neighborhood as like a business that's like transacting with each other. Yeah. But, it's almost, I mean, not to get like conspiratorial, but how weird is that like you're forced to like opt in to like, no. You don't buy it. You don't grow your food. You have to buy that shit at this fucking mass produced, trucked in fucking place.
Yeah. I mean, like conspiracy is kind of a strong word, but I do think that what you're saying makes sense is that there's a lot of these forces, but one force definitely is, it's like when businesses are making money on something, then they want to make sure they keep doing it. Right. For example, like even TurboTax is like a lot of other countries have very easy, like they just like kind of, oh, here's what you owe, pay it. The U.S. is like, oh, what do you owe? I don't know. Why don't you fucking spin a lottery wheel? And if you get it wrong, you're going to be in trouble. Right. Or
I saw a TurboTax. Yeah. There was a meme like that. It was something like what you just said. It was just like, like you owe us, and if it's not the right amount, you're going to jail or something like that. It's like, we're not going to tell you how much, but
yeah, it's like the hardest amount, especially like having your own business, is just figuring out the number.
Right. But think about that then is, by having it be difficult, that creates an entire industry of bookkeepers, CPAs, TurboTax, automated software for tracking it. And isn't that crazy? And it even ties into the thing we were having about like Facebook and how these things are not optimized to be the best they can be. They're optimized for sometimes something else. And and in this example, maybe taxes are not optimized to be like easy or straightforward. They're optimized to like support all these other industries too. Yeah, there's so many things like that.
Yeah. It's the issue with capitalism. It's like a lot of like externalities and side effects happen, and yeah, like the best solution doesn't always win out.
Totally. I noticed, I don't know if this will be that interesting, so let me know, we can divert, but I noticed another like manipulative software thing.
Oh yeah.
It's PayPal. So I've been using PayPal forever, right? I mean, like PayPal, I was using that when I was like, buying and selling my first shit online, like just hustling, Craigslist, whatever, years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the way PayPal used to work is, let's say you sold something, you have $300 in your PayPal account, right? You would go to transfer it to your bank because nobody wanted to leave money in PayPal because it was always a risk of like getting shut down or things like that, right? So the way it used to be, you would just like go in there, you'd click like send a bank account, it would like autofill like $300 and it'd be free, and you'd wait like a day and it would go to your bank account. Maybe not even wait a day, I don't remember. But two things. So first of all, super scammy is recently they made it so the default option for transferring it to your bank is not free. It's the 1% fee, and it comes the same day.
Oh, like
so
instant, yeah.
So I accidentally picked that. Like literally, I was just like going to transfer money to my bank, and then I was like, "What the fuck? I just paid $10. I've never paid it for a PayPal." So first of all, that's highly manipulative. The second thing that I realized that's just fucked up. I mean, like that. To me, like they shouldn't be allowed to do that. Like they shouldn't be allowed to like change the default from something that's always been free to not, without it being like clear that you're choosing something that's not free.
Yeah, you're the one that saw the interface. Like it's like
pretty fucked up.
Yeah, like if you're not, you've got to know what you're paying before you
Like
pay it.
I literally blindly tapped the same things I've tapped a million times, and was charged a $10 fee.
Yeah, that's annoying.
So, and I mean, whatever. But the point is not the $10. It's just like, fuck you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the other part that's, I think, more of an example of like the unoptimizing thing, like when it's not for you, it's for them. I realized this is, so like I said, you used to have $300 in your PayPal account. You would go to transfer it, and there was either a button to say like send all, or it would even just auto populate like the full $300. I don't remember. But now, when you go to send it to your bank, there's no autofill.
Oh yeah,
for the amount.
I noticed that too. Yeah.
It wasn't like that. So my theory, which I think is basically a fact, is it's because they're unoptimizing it so that you don't send all of your money away, right? Because they obviously benefit by having this like escrow account of millions and millions of dollars that they're investing every day, probably, right?
It certainly had an effect on
the
system. Yeah.
So now I'll have $871.32 in my PayPal account, and I'll go to transfer it to my bank, and I'm like, fuck. I have to like literally like, I think you have to even go back a screen to see how much.
Do you know Venmo? I'm sorry. Do you know Venmo does that also?
No,
now?
Venmo. I believe Venmo does it extremely easy, like one tap, send to bank.
Okay.
But PayPal now, you have to like literally input the exact amount, and it's like teeny tiny. I think it's on the same screen, but it's like, or maybe you even have to go back. But it's for sure like an added step to be like, shit, what was the amount that I was gonna send to my bank? Like, there's no just easy like transfer it all to my bank feature. And I'm like, wow, like that is an example of making the product worse to benefit the business. But it's not. It's an optimization that's not an optimization. It's like an unoptimization, right? Yeah.
It's an optimization for them.
Right. It's optimizing for something that's not in your best interest, which I think we like think about optimizing. We just like assume it's all to make the product better. You know, like, oh, we're optimizing the product. It's like, nah, like we might be optimizing our incentives by making the product worse for you.
Yeah, and that's the issue with trust, and who can you trust, and what happens when somebody benefits from your not benefiting, and how do you avoid that, and how can we ever trust anyone or any company or anything?
Yeah, I think it definitely makes me realize like you definitely can't trust these big companies like this, these big tech companies.
Yeah.
Like maybe I just have too much trust that they're trying to do the right thing, but I don't think they are.
I think that, I mean, this is one of the reasons that I think Andrew Yang is so interesting, is that his whole thing is like human-based capitalism, like ethical capitalism. It's like there are so many like disincentives. I think one of the things he said is like, we can't fall into the illusion that what's good for the environment is bad for the economy.
We can't fall into the illusion that what's good for the environment is bad for the economy. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
It's just so obvious to me, but a lot of people would argue not. Would argue against that.
Yeah. Well, we kind
Of course, what's good for the environment is good for the economy. Oh, oh, what's gonna happen to the economy when the fucking world explodes?
Well, right, and the worst. A book I read recently was Lifespan. This book about longevity by this longevity doctor, and ties in because one of the most expensive things is sick people. And
Yeah.
I mean, that's the worst thing for the economy. I mean, I don't know the numbers, but like, I mean, that it's staggering. Like the amount that goes into, say, treating preventable diseases. I mean, that if that was like, let's say all diseases were cured. I mean, that's like trillions of dollars saved, basically, right? So, I mean, okay, extrapolate that to ruining the entire fucking environment. How expensive is that? Everything? Like,
Yeah.
how about the whole thing? Is that expensive enough?
Yeah.
Like, it's the wrong lens. Like, when somebody's thinking about it in that way, I'm just like, you might be right on paper, like the math. Like, maybe I can follow your math, but wake the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like, it's not always about the math. It's like, yeah, we need to create another plant that's going to fuck up the entire world, but our projections over the next 3 decades are very positive. It's like, yeah, but it just doesn't make any fucking sense if you give a shit about anything.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is. What do we do?
I think that's like the worst type of like manipulating. Like in my space, I see a lot of people that like, and I've been there, is like hating on like, say, internet marketer scammers or whatever. Like there's a lot of that. They're like, oh, like how do you, like that's like so fucked up. And I'm like, yeah, it's fucked up. But I'm almost not even mad about that anymore. Like it seems so juvenile compared to what a lot of actual like big companies are doing. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Do you get what I'm saying? I don't know if that made any sense. So, I mean,
yeah, internet scams are fucked up for sure.
Internet's okay, not scams. I guess I'd say like people that think like say selling a course is a scam.
Oh,
Or let's say
right.
somebody that's like not even qualified to sell a course, but like decides to. Like I used to like shit on that so much, and I'm not saying it's not a problem, but it, like I said, it just seems juvenile compared to like I'm going to start a company that actually pollutes the environment. Like maybe the person doing that is like a different type of like mental pollution a bit, but it's like that's like a teeny tiny leak compared to like a flood.
Yeah.
You
Somehow,
know what I mean?
though, they both do come from the same source. Like what? Like why are
like short-term thinking and
short-term thinking, like thinking that you are separate from the world and that the world is sort of yours to just take advantage of, I guess. I don't know. It's like what, like why? I mean, it's kind of this like core question. It's like, why do people treat themselves badly? Why do people treat other people badly, the environment badly? Like why can't we all just get along and have world peace and fucking trade eggs with each other?
I agree. Yeah, I mean, it probably does kind of come from the same place, but I guess what I'm saying is it's hard to even be angry about that anymore. Just the more you sort of think about how far some businesses go.
Yeah. And another thing that I think we both agree with is like, it's crazy how none of it is malicious. None of it's malicious. Everyone thinks they're doing good and thinks they're a good person, and nobody's trying to cause harm, but it's a bunch of these like small decisions that add up. It's like when Mark Zuckerberg started Facebook, he probably thought that it was going to make the world, like really change the world. He's like, we're literally connecting the entire world, and now there's a network between billions of people, but they tried to optimize for their business model is make more money, and now they're like legally obligated by their shareholders to try and make more money, and they have a really quote unquote easy way to do that, which is just like A/B testing everything and figuring out literally what sucks people in.
Right.
But there's these like huge externalities where the entire world is just fucking getting anxious and going crazy.
This is an interesting like thinking out loud experiment, but
Go.
is that like, I guess a lot of businesses probably turn bad when they go public for that reason.
Yeah, because aren't you like legally required to just milk as much money as possible, and money is your metric of accountability?
I don't know if it's legally required as much
It
as
is though. It's your fiduciary duty to the shareholders is to try and make
I-
more money.
Sure. If that part, I don't know about that part, but I guess even if it wasn't legally required, it's kind of like that's the product that you're selling as an investment. So like if you're like, yeah, we're just going to like keep going the way we're going. Like that's not a exciting investment for people, right?
Yeah, it's like
It ties back into like Basecamp and DHH and Jason Fried is they like, I mean, they have like a really solid company, but they have like no investors, nothing. Like it's very, very simplified to where they're just like, yeah, we're fine. Like we don't want to grow to 1,000 people. Like we like the 50 that we have. We're good at the $30 million a year. We're not trying to get to 100, like
you know the tough thing is though, is that I love that, and it's great, and they're gonna have really like, it's just a cool life to be able to like not be stressed and to be sustainable, but you can never expect that everyone else is just gonna catch on and like act in their own best interest. Like people like, if you're doing that, then like that's great, but like I just think that the way the world works is that somehow whoever has the power is going to influence things. And right now fucking Donald Trump is president, and that guy, not to get political, but he's not the most stable person I've ever seen. And that has these like ripples on our culture. And right, he got power and he figured out a way to do that. And there's all of these like forces of people that want to feel powerful, that want to feel like they can control the world. But like it's like somehow having good intentions is not going to, like, you somehow need to have good intentions, but then also figure out how to compete with people who have bad intentions and
Right.
keep your good intentions.
Well,
Because you kind of have to like it's like the mix of competitive force and like
right. But don't
sharing.
you think that's kind of like, that's probably why they bothered to distill these thoughts into a book, right?
yeah.
It's like or even like the goal of most podcasts or YouTube channels or books or blog articles or anything really. It's like to get your voice out, and I think it's important, especially these types of messages. That's why. I mean, that ties into the same reason why I'm trying to get my shit together with YouTube and content and podcasts is because like I would like to be able to put out messages that I, in my own biased viewpoint, think are worth getting across, I guess, and are ultimately, hopefully, like overall positive.
Yeah. And I think it is important. It's like, yeah, we're all biased, but that shouldn't, as hard as it is to like, people will criticize anything you say. I think it's almost like, I mean, it is hard. Like, if you do have a strong opinion and if it's well thought out and well spoken, then some people are gonna love it, but a lot of people are gonna hate it. And it's just like really hurtful when people just like get so offended by your opinions and what you say. And I think that that's why a lot of people don't share their thoughts and kind of keep to what's normal. But I don't know. It's like,
Yeah,
I think it's a good thing to share how you feel, even if
Yeah,
people might disagree.
I guess I can have some personal experience in that, just with like, say, like feedback on YouTube.
Yeah.
It doesn't get to me like on like that personal of a level. I don't think like, see, for you either. Like, I mean, I haven't had much lately to like relate to, but what people often say, because I haven't had much comments in general lately because I haven't been doing much, so it's not like fresh in my mind. But a lot of people say like, when it's true, like when they say something that's like true about you, they're like, oh, like, you're like, I don't know, they poke at you in a way that like, it's true.
Yeah.
Then that could get to you. I can't think of any examples for me with that, but like, if somebody just says something stupid, like that doesn't really bother me.
Yeah.
One thing that doesn't bother me, because I know it, but it does stand out to me, is when people just expect like you as somebody that puts stuff out there to just be their servant. It's strange. Like I did get one comment about like even doing like that free training thing, which, look, in full disclosure, it's a free training, which is valuable. And then it does have a pitch to pay to work with me.
Yeah.
Like that's the truth. And and there was like one person that was like, fuck you, this is just to sell your course. There was one of those comments, and I was just thinking, like, you know, if you don't think I've given enough to you for free to even ask for this, like, not to like require you to pay, but just to like be like, hey, this is available if you want it. And they're like, fuck you. I'm like, what the? Like, how do people have so much they expect so much, some people.
It just like reflects a denial of how the world actually works. It's like, oh, sorry. What do you want me to do? Do you want me to spend 15 hours making this course and then just deliver it to you for free and then just do it only on the satisfaction that it's going to help you make money? Oh, am I going to make money? Fuck no. I don't want to take anything from you. I just want you to get all of it. How am I going to pay my rent? I don't know. I'll probably just go homeless.
Right. Hey, Matt, how about you give me this for free and I pay you, you know, a year from now if it works or something?
Yeah, it's like, how about you talk to my fucking landlord and see if they can give me my house for free? Because if they can, then I'll give it to you for free.
Yeah. I've definitely, but again, I don't hate those people. It doesn't bother me,
Right.
but it's that it makes me realize that these people are in a very scarce-minded, fearful place to where they're just like looking to me to grab onto anything.
I think it's kind of also a childish mindset. I don't mean childish in a condescending way, but in actually like a child way. Like when we're all children, like we, like every child is born, you probably have like 2 servants that you're born into. And that's pretty much what it is. It's like, bring me food. Give me a bed.
I'm hungry.
Yeah. Give me whatever
I'm
I
thirsty.
want. I want presents once a year on the day that I was born.
I want ice cream.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
The way you get things as a kid is you cry and you're like, you basically tell people to fuck off until they concede, more or less, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Like,
maybe it's
you don't know how to win friends and influence people as a baby.
exactly. And I think that what a lot of people do is, especially like as entrepreneurs, we've learned this like kind of capitalistic lesson of you have to really focus on like giving value, and then when you're giving enough value, then people just are gonna pay because they get more than they give, and then you get more than you give too, and it's this like transaction where both people end up with more than they started with. But it's difficult to make that change. And I mean, we all still have that like inner child in us that just wants to be like taken care of. And it's like,
Right.
well, you have to take care of other people too. And I think that a lot of people in the world just don't make that transition. And I mean, nobody does in every way. Everyone's still a child on the inside in a lot of ways.
I think that's a lot of where it comes from, but I think that they're in that mode because they're still in that scarcity. They're still in that fear mentality where they probably don't have much. Like not that they don't have much, but they're a little trapped by that still, you know. And I think when you're in that space, it's hard to think. What's a better like? It would be impossible. Like if you know, let's say we didn't know each other that well, and you like spent an hour sitting down with me teaching me about whatever. Let's say you knew real estate really well. You spent an hour sitting down with me teaching real estate. At the end of it, I would just be like, there's no way I could not just be like thanking you profusely for this, right?
Yeah.
But then this other mentality is just like, I want more. You know, like, well, can you just like give me a piece of real estate? I mean, like, this is really hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like rather than being like,
It's like,
thank you, Sam, for giving me all of this time of yours.
It goes back to like morality. Like Mark Manson in one of his articles said that there's this theory that money is just a way to like close the moral gap. For example, if I sit down with you for an hour and teach you about real estate, then it opens up this like moral gap between us that makes you feel like you want to like equalize it, and you almost want to like give back to me.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, it's kind of like this like, it's like not reality to like get value for an hour and then ask for more, and I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. But back to like putting out messages is, I mean, I think that's why I do what I'm doing. That's why I still have hope for it. That's why, you know, I see you doing it in some way long term. I don't know if that's writing or
Yeah, I hope to.
whatever, but I feel like, you know, you have thoughts that can benefit people.
Yeah. It's also part of the reason I'm moving to Austin. Is like maybe the financial thing too. Is like if I can just like not be so worried about money and like have some money in the bank, that if I knew that like if I wasn't making money for like a year, or I mean ideally even like 2 or 3 years, that I would be fine. And to have that set up, I think like would just put me in a place of like less scarcity and more just like being able to give. And like, I mean, I don't know, in the end it's just about also personal accountability. And I would like to make something too, and I think that I'll probably like, I think it's just important for my own mental health to be like pushing something out eventually as well.
So let's say like, so what would that look like if you had that right now? Like if you had, I don't know what the number is that you would need to have in your bank account to feel like that, but I mean, shit, let's even take it up a level. Let's say you have like $500,000 in your bank account, and you have it invested, and you're making enough off those passive investments to say cover your rent and food. So you're basically set if you don't go crazy, right?
Yeah.
Then what?
Okay, so then I'm set. And let's say my lifestyle, let's say I am in Austin and like I get this community and like I really feel like part of this like tribe, and like it's like my like social, like all of that is like taken care of and I'm just like enjoying. What would I do? Let me think for a second. Or let's say it was all literally right now. What will I do right now if I have all the resources?
Yeah, it doesn't
in the
have to
world?
be in Austin. It could just be you.
Shit.
It's a hard question. I mean, you don't have to come up with an answer.
Yeah, I don't know. I know that there was that month where I was like writing every day, and it was like fun.
Yeah.
It was really fun, and I felt really purposeful, and I felt like I was good at it, and it like felt like I would wake up in the morning excited, and it's just like really, it's hard for me to like, it's really hard, and I think it's hard for every writer, and that's sort of just the price to pay. Maybe the reason I haven't gotten into that routine is just that I can't be writing these like interest articles when I just need to like, when like money is such a high pressure.
Yeah, I
Like,
get that.
I need to do the quote unquote low risk thing right now just because I need to.
Right.
I need to be able to afford.
I totally get that. I mean, that's part of what, like, I mean, for me, I guess that creative thing has, and I'm really intrigued by writing too, and I would like to do that more. But I think my expression has been more through like, you know, the video and audio.
Sorry, I just want to say, like, I know I've told you this before, but like I love your writing, and I think it's so clear
Thanks,
and like well said. And yeah, I mean, any chance, I think that you might not even like see yourself. I mean, you might not even see yourself in that way, but I think that if you like, the problem with I want to get into writing is that there's no such thing as writing. There's always a context to it. What are you writing about is the real. It's really just writing is just like a medium, just like a phone is a medium of communication. It's like it's a type of,
It's thinking.
Yeah.
And it's like talking. Yeah, it's interesting too for me is, you know, I'm not one of these people that like struggled that much in school, even though I hated it. Like I ultimately did well. The one subject I fucking sucked at was English. And I don't think it was that I sucked at it. It was that I hated it. I resisted the fuck out of it. I mean, I remember there was a time where I had like, ultimately I ended up with like, you know, good GPA in high school, all that. But like there was a time where I had like a D- in my English class in like junior year of high school or something like that. Like I just fucking hated English. But the more it went on, like now I kind of like it. And interestingly, my brother has always been a writer, and he not in like in different ways. Like he would write for papers ever since he was probably in like, I swear, like high school. He started writing for papers. I feel like sports, stuff like that. And I would struggle so much. And I remember like the advice that he gave me that like literally changed my writing in like one day. And it was just write write what you would talk. And it sounds so basic. I don't know if I'm using it as much now, but it would help me so much to get started, because especially like in academic world, I'd just be like, how the fuck do I start? And he'd be like, what are you trying to say? And I'd be like, well, I'm trying to say this. And he's like, like, just write that down, like, and it would be so easy. And I'd be like, whoa, like if I actually just, because I feel like maybe it's because we're conditioned by school to be this way. Like so many of us, when we write, we go into this way where we don't sound like ourselves. We use words we would never say and all of that stuff. And like the more you can just kind of think about like, whoa, like there's a person on the other end of it, especially now in like social media and online. It's like my face is next to what I'm writing. Like this needs to be me. This needs to sound like me. This is one of my pet peeves too, is like I'm like running ads for this free training right now. And like anytime that like we get an ad up and somewhere along the line, the copy is not exactly what I wrote. Like there's a tiny grammatical error that's not the one that I made, or like something gets capitalized that I didn't write. I literally want to like kill somebody.
Dude.
I'm like, this is not my brand.
I think we're the same person.
Yeah, I'm like, this is not me anymore.
Dude.
Like,
oh my God.
So I work with somebody who's running my ads, and like when that happens, like I get angry. Like I'm like, this is like so far beyond not okay.
I hate it. I'm running these ads right now that I've told you about, and like sometimes like there'll be like a typo or like a wrong, dude, it's bad. It's like it'll be like a list of 2, and then like it'll be like, this is an example, like apples and pears is not the best fruit anymore.
What? Sorry, what?
Like it would be like apples and pears is not the best fruits anymore.
Okay, yeah.
Like that, we're literally running an ad like that right now. It should be R. It should be R, not the best fruits anymore. And it
who
fucking
made
excruciating.
Whose fault was
my vision partner?
former.
But
no, I'm just kidding.
It has so many likes on it now. It has like
that you don't want to like. You can't edit.
You can't edit it, otherwise all the likes go away.
Yeah.
So we're just fucking running it, and it. Oh, also, you know the long dash? We had a long dash, and it looks really pretty, but he fucking edited it, and it went to a short. So there's the one word on the left and the one word on the right, and then there's like after the word on the left.
Oh, don't tell me there's a space on one side and not a space on the other. Oh my god.
Oh god, dude. No. And it sucks because like I've also brought it up. So by the way, I have the fucking best business partner in the world, and this is like a dream partnership. Mm-hmm. So like if he heard it, I would like, it's like whatever. Like,
yeah, it's like
he like wouldn't be offended or anything.
Right.
He'd be like, yeah, like maybe we'll change it. Like,
well, I think in his defense, it's like it's only a certain type of person that looks at it the way me and you look at it.
And like what's really good about him is I'm really good at like the design and like the perfectionism and stuff. Yeah. But the reason it's such a successful partnership is he pushes it to grow. Yeah. And he's like, let's make it bigger. Let's do this. Like, oh, the details, whatever. We'll figure it out as we go. Let's just keep moving and do it. Whereas me left to by myself, I'll be like, let's just make sure everything's right and everything's perfect.
Right. Yeah. No, I get that. Like you need both. And that sounds like a very good partnership. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, especially when it's like my face on it. Like if it was say like a brand that I run that has nothing to do with me, I'm different about that. I mean, I still want it to be perfect, but like, especially when it's my face, like if we're running something as Matt Loberstein, like I don't want you to add, like you can't add anything that I didn't put. Right. No. Like I'm talking like a space. Like it has to be exactly what I put.
I think you should always be really strong on that. Yeah. You're even making me remember. It's like sometimes I'm just like, I've told him like 3 times and like he never, like every time like I'll tell him, and then like a few weeks later it's time to like copy the ad into a new set or something, and there's a chance to change it and it never gets changed. And yeah, you're even reminding me like I need to. It's hard though, because once you're running it for a few days and it has 1,000 likes, you're not going to want to change it. So
yeah, I get that.
Yeah,
but
also like it's hard to measure the impact of that quantitatively. It's like
probably 0. I mean, I don't know, like we're probably a little crazy about it, but I still think it's important just to give it that level of
like a personal integrity.
Yeah. And especially if it's running as your face and your name, like then it's saying something about like you you know?
You're right. Something that you made me think of when you were talking about your brother, like the writing thing, is I think that I'm really good at editing. I'm not sure how good I am at writing.
I get that. Yeah.
Like,
Well, I'll tell you how it works for me is like what I've realized, and maybe it's all the same thing. Cause maybe, I mean, like, look, people say that about video making
because like
too.
I'll write something and the first time it'll be kind of like jumbled, and then I'll spend time and I'll look at it and I'll think of ways to like rearrange the sentence and like take out like if I look at a sentence and by the end of it I might have taken out like 60 or 70% of the words.
Not to interrupt, but this
Yeah.
is exactly how I write mine also. Like exactly. So
and
I
like
think that,
after you take out the words, it seems so well written.
but so I would maybe it probably just comes down to labels and definitions. I think
Yeah.
that's what makes you a good writer. Like for example,
Right.
in the video world, everyone says like it's all in the edit. You know, it's not about like, I mean, I'm sure like how you hold the cameras or whatever is important, but it's really in like how you stitch it together. You create the story and stuff. And like, you know, it's the same with writing is you need to throw a lot of shit on the paper, but then you need to make it good. And I think that's the harder part. I'm sure not that many great writers just like first pass kill it. You know, I think
Yeah.
they go back and like even in these like little Facebook posts I've written, I mean, I'll just try to get something out there, but then yeah, it's like I read through it like a million times. Every time I like take something out, I like change the way. I just try to make it concise and clear and like
process.
nothing that doesn't need to be there. And maybe that's what makes writing good. So
and that's what
so-
makes it hard too.
right, so maybe like yes, your editing is good, but maybe that's the only reason that you are a good writer, you know?
Yeah, and what it comes down to is like I think it's just a matter of like acceptance and like setting aside enough time that you will have time to like write out a bunch of jumble words and then look at it and then either throw the whole thing away or keep going. Like anytime I've written something that I liked, I've thrown away probably 80% that I didn't like, or and the other 20% gets like rephrased and this, that, and I guess it's just a matter of accepting that that's the reality of it, and more so I think when you're starting, just not having too high expectations. Like being able to just like it's hard because when you're writing you want to be able to read it back right away and say that sounds really good, and it just like I think there's a lot of time when you like just kind of like lost in it and you like have to like it just I guess writing is just it's just like thinking really hard, and it's very like uncomfortable in a lot of ways, so like your mind will do all these things to like avoid it, and I think that somehow you have to get to a place where like it's like I'll go for a run or go to the gym, and the thing with going for a run is easy because it's very like quantifiable. It's like, oh, how do I know if I'm going for a run right now or not? It's like, are you serious? Are you running or are you not? Like, it's very easy to quantify. It's like, how do I know if I'm writing right now or not? It's like, I don't know, like what thoughts are going through my mind, like this and that. It's much more like easy to fucking like mental gymnastics your way out of it.
So you mean because it's not just literally words on a page, it's also like the thinking part is kind of part of the writing?
I think it's so easy to like get mentally lazy with it, whereas because there's not a good feedback mechanism for like am I straining my mind hard enough right now so that it's like am I working hard enough? Because the thing is that it is uncomfortable in a way. Maybe you could argue until you get into a flow state and then it's just easy.
Yeah.
Same with running even. It's just running is I just love running because it's easier to it's like it's very easy to know if I'm doing good or not, because like if I want to run, all I have to do is just not stop. Whereas writing is more of like this like dance and you never know where it's going next.
Yeah. I mean, then there's the people that sort of like say like the Steven Pressfield approach or like even like Seth Godin approach. It's just sit down, fucking write something every day. Like you have 30 minutes, you know? And
It's all about sorry.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
It's about accountability.
Yeah.
It's like I was rereading a chapter of this book that you absolutely need to read. It's called The Lessons of History. I don't know if you've read it already. It's
Have
so
not.
short. You can read it so fast. You would absolutely love it. But it was saying this was in parentheses at another point, but it was like the clarity of mind and energy of will parentheses, which is almost the definition of genius. Like the clarity of mind and energy of will. It's like somehow you need to have an idea. You need to be able to have clarity, but you also need to like figure out how to actually get the shit into the world. You have to sit down, you have to write it. Otherwise, it dies in your mind. And honestly, it doesn't die. It becomes it kind of sucks your soul, I think, if it stays inside of you.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah. It is interesting how like writing has been intriguing me, and it seems like you too.
I honestly, man, also, I think that like to know that you're capable of something and then to not do it is sort of like you don't just not be happier with yourself and your creative output. It like if you can do it, you almost like have to, I think.
But you can do a lot of things.
You're right, and it's just like it's a matter of what you think is most important, right? If
Something is, but that's the thing is like maybe someday I'll write a book or something, but or even just start with like actually getting organized about writing articles,
right.
Let's say. But it's hard to say, like, is that really the best thing I could be doing? Like, especially when, like, I still see so much opportunity with YouTube, but I'm just in such a rut with it. But, like, I think it's the same thing. Like, you know, a video is writing also. It's just, like, written in video form to some extent. Like, there is a writing component to that. So, I don't know if writing is, like, the most impactful thing I could be doing, but, like, something still draws me to it. I think because of the difficulty, it's always sounded like an impossible thing to do. And, you know, Ryan Holiday has such an impression on me. It's like, the dude is, what, 32? Something like that?
Yeah.
And this is, like, his 10th book. It's like, wait, what? That's great. And they're great books. And you can just tell that he has that clarity of mind and that attention to put his focus forward into something, and it's just really impressionable and really incredible that it makes me like want to strive for that level of creativity, like where you're taking a year and just putting focused work into a project.
And it's like it's very possible. I mean I see it reaching that, and I mean, this kind of ties back towards the beginning even. Part of the reason I want to move to Austin is because I think that, honestly, I think my life will almost be entirely different. And the thing that scares me the most is, like I really want to be able to have friends. And, like, it's scary to start. And, like, I was really lonely in LA for a while. And I think being lonely is just, like, so, like, kind of, like, not fun at all. But the real reason is like my life will be, I think, so much more peaceful, and even just like subconsciously, like for my mind to not be hearing all of these like crazy sounds, like people yelling, like cars honking, like random fucking noises, like it just never ends. I think that is not, people have different nervous systems too. I learned once is that some people just actually have different nervous systems, that for some person that gets really energized from being in a city, someone else can get really tired out. And I feel like I've just had this like constant low stress on my nervous system for so long, and I feel like I'm just like it's a type of burnout, and it's not like full burnout, but it's like I see it building and building, and I'm like, I need to get out.
No, you're right. And like, you know, from the health perspective, I think a lot of people are just not in tune with their own feelings. I think that if you're not experiencing that, you're a bit numb, probably, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's true. Like, even like the level of how much you can actually sleep in a city is different for sure. Last time Jessica and I went to Hawaii, we stayed on, not even by the beach. We went on like the fucking mountain on like a little farm in this like cabin basically. not like your typical Hawaii setting. And I swear, like, the main thing we fucking did in Hawaii was sleep. Like, we would sleep so fucking heavy.
Yeah.
It was like I hadn't slept in 4 years. It was crazy. I was like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah. Same with me in Austin. We stayed at this really nice, like, Airbnb. It was just, like, so quiet. And I was, like, every morning when I woke up, I could just sense that I had slept better.
Yeah.
And, like,
Yeah.
we would walk to the coffee shops. I would be like, is this fucking Black Mirror episode? Like, Black Mirror is actually a terrible example, but is this like a alternate world? Like, why is there literally pure silence right now?
Yeah. Dude, when I even go back to visit family, it'll be so quiet at night, and I'm in, like, the same bedroom I pretty much grew up in, and I'm like, my ears will be ringing. And I've heard this from multiple people that live in LA. They'll go, you know, camping, or they'll go even to Austin, just somewhere quieter. Not like downtown Austin, but I think people would get what I'm saying. Is like, you know, you go to like a quiet suburban neighborhood and your ears will be ringing because you've just never, in so long, you haven't experienced that actual, like, your baseline of volume has never gone below like a 25%.
Right.
And the exact same thing applies to light. Like, that one literally makes me want to kill people. Like, I mean, it makes like, why do streetlights have to have white ass LEDs that disrupt literally the entire ecosystem of the world? Like, it doesn't even make sense. It's absurd. It will be looked back on as such a fluke mishap in lack of awareness. The fact that we have these lights on at night. It's absolutely absurd.
Yeah.
And that one drives me. I mean, dude, in this place, I mean, we can have every light off, and it's still just like a cast of light, you know? It drives me insane. But it's the same thing as the light, or sorry, as the volume. Like, it sounds like the sound is getting to you, but I mean, it could also be the light, you know?
That is true. Yeah.
It's both. I mean, yeah. But I mean, we're at 1 hour 41.
Cool.
But I think you should start writing in Austin.
You're right.
Yeah. And I think, like, I mean, maybe you should experiment a bit. Like, if you feel comfortable, you know, I mean, you could turn some pieces into videos. Like, I mean, especially if you got interested in, like, the type of video I've been striving to make.
Right.
Which is not
Dude,
just...
I would love to make videos.
Do it,
It's just
dude.
that there's so much, and I like the figuring out money is kind of my first priority because it has to be.
Yeah,
But yeah, once that is figured out, I think I'll be able to go in a lot of creative directions.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm really actually happy with what I'm doing. It's like I've been trying my best to figure this out, and, like, it's crazy. It's like I figured it out just in time to, like, pay my taxes for 2018, and now I finally have that money. But now it's gonna take me down a bunch, and then it's like I've been really avoiding falling to zero for a while now. But it's just like the totals get higher and the expenses get higher, and it's just like as soon as I can figure out that, everything else will hopefully.
You seem very close. I mean,
I think so. I've said for like 3 years that in 6 months it'll all work itself out, and I still feel like that. So we will see.
yeah, I mean, I can relate on some level. Like, I should be further along, you know, given all that I've achieved, you could say, like, you know, I should have investments more so, and so many things, but I've made a lot of mistakes too.
Yeah, we all have. And
Yeah.
it's a mix of, like, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And it's important to stay really hungry. And I think that's one of the things that I can sort of cultivate in myself when it's the right time. I can, like, get hungrier and, like, really push more. It feels like I'm not quite at the place where I can, like, turn up that hunger just because I, like, need to get some things in order.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that once, like, as soon as I can, it might be time to sprint again. And, like, I think that's what's toxic about business is these people that get their ego tied up in sprinting all the time.
Yeah.
And that is toxic and it's not healthy. And I would never fucking brag about not sleeping.
Right.
Like, ew. But what but it is fun to sprint sometimes. It's natural to sprint sometimes. Even in physical exercise, sprinting and going all out is very healthy for you. And I think that even in business, it can be healthy at times, at least for me. But like, I kind of want to get to a place where I feel like I have, like, stillness is the key. I feel like I want to get to a place where I have a little bit more of a blank slate.
Right. No, like, I mean, to me, it's about how much can I have an open calendar.
Right.
It's about,
and not that open calendar is the goal necessarily, but that's everything that exists stems from an open calendar.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, like you said, I mean, that's the kick I've been on with my content and with my own thinking for so long now, is it's like most of this stuff is just, it's that more. It's that, like, you know, push, sprint all the time. And those people have never, like, mostly never thought about, like, where are they trying to get? What's the point?
Yeah. And I gotta say, though, from another perspective, and I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are, is like, if I was just, like, living on a farm right now, just, like, staying in my house, and, like, I had this, like, peaceful area, and I had the chickens, I wouldn't be happy. Like, I'm in my, like, we're in our 20s. Like, I feel like there's still so much for me to do, and I think that working hard does have its benefits. And, like, I want to be able to work hard and push my body, and I don't want to do it in an unhealthy way, but it's like there's a certain amount of, like, self-sacrifice that I think is healthy, and I'm not sure what that level is. And, like, self-sacrifice is this broad stroke. Is like, is it self-sacrifice to not get sleep? Like,
no, that's never good, for sure.
But you can't even say that, because on one night it probably is going to be good. You know?
Right. I guess I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I do get what you're saying. But, you know, also, I think stillness is the key. And it's funny, like, we keep using this as a phrase, even though neither of us have read it yet. But I think it works. Is, you know, I think there's a sort of stillness that you can find where you are working and you are in flow. It's like a more, it's a presence. It's like, you know, think about Ryan Holiday. Like, he's probably setting off 4 hours every morning of deep, focused work on writing. Yeah. And then he's free to spend time with his family, to go on those walks with his cows or whatever. You know, and that's what I'm striving for. I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, I'm not trying to retire. I'm trying to have the freedom to just do a few things that I deem important enough for me to work on. Like, you know,
and be able to give all yourself to.
Yeah. Like, you know, maybe 3 years from now, if stuff that I'm doing takes off, maybe that looks like doing what would sound like way less than I'm doing now. Maybe that means having a successful podcast and writing one book every 3 years. You know, like, maybe that's it.
It's about finding a balance and, like, being able to enjoy what you're doing every day. But that also, like, nobody enjoys not working hard. Like, these words are tricky, but nobody enjoys giving less than what feels like they're capable of. And it's just finding that balance where, like, because here's the thing is if I give all of myself for 14 hours a day, then I'm going to do that for 2 weeks and then go crazy. Like, what is the long-term strategy to give as most of you can? Because
it might not actually be putting yourself to the limits.
Right, because in order to give, you need to have. And it's like, I think what a lot of business people do is, like, I need to give as much as I can in a short-term mindset where you're not, you're focused on burning the gas that's in the car without worrying about how are we going to make sure that there's always gas in the car.
Right.
And I think that what we're doing is we're trying to find this system where, like, it's like kind of like the tortoise and the hare story. It's like the tortoise is like, yo, like, what? I'm going to the finish line. Sorry. I can only move as fast as I can.
Yeah. I think it ties in, like, what you're shooting for too. And I think I had this, like, this thing I've been thinking about that relates. I think it was actually Ryan Holiday that said this, like, on a podcast interview that I heard. And he was saying how, similar to just, like, setting your goals higher and higher and higher, he was saying how, like, you know, one of these common goals that everyone has is to be the number one at what they're doing. Like, maybe it's not financial, maybe it's not to make the most, but maybe it's like, okay, I'm just going to write books on stoicism. I'm going to be the best ever at this thing. And he was saying, like, whoa, like, that's kind of crazy. And that's a lot of pressure to put on yourself. And it's like, this is something I've been thinking more and more is, why do we shoot it's ego again. It like ego strikes again. You know, it's like okay, no. I'm not shooting to make $1 billion. I just want to be the best YouTuber ever. I want to make the best videos ever. I want to write the best books ever. It's like I think what's more important is that you are content with your output. Maybe, you know, like. Because tying yourself to the outcome of the world telling you you're the best is not a good bet to make for anyone. Unless you're like literally planning on being fucking like Michael Jordan of whatever it is you're doing. It's much better off to, you know, you don't have to be number one at whatever it is to be very, very, very successful and to be very happy and very content.
Yeah.
You know?
Damn. That sinks in for me to hear. It's like, you kind of have to, like, as fun as it is to try and be like, I want to be the best, I want to be big, I want to get bigger. It's like, if that is the mindset, then it might not be clear in the sentence, but it does imply I want to compare myself to everyone in the world.
Right. I want to be the best.
I want to, yeah.
Right. And I think it's much better to like I said,
Yeah.
I think the part that hits for me is that you're tying it to the output. You're tying it to what the world says about your work rather than your input and how you feel about the work and how you feel about how you're spending your time. Because the chances that the world is going to tell you that you're the best at what you're doing is very, very low.
It's just really hard to, I think, speaking for myself, like that, I think it rationally makes so much sense to me. And I know that if I could really, truly just 100% believe that I would make better work if I knew that the only judge of it was myself. Because then, of course, it would get like more unique. And like, of course, it would still be good. Like, it would be good. And I'm sure there would be an audience for it. But I think that, yeah, I don't know. I guess I still have an insecurity of like, well, I feel like I'm capable of making more than I've made, and I haven't. Like, it is that ego, and it's like, I want people to like it, and it's, I don't know. I think that like, maybe for me, I don't know. Maybe I like, for all of the amount that I don't care what people think, I think that there's probably something that does, and that's probably what makes creating hard. And like, I'm on this seesaw where like I still do it, but and like I think that over time it probably gets easier as you get a bunch of like bad feedback, and it's just like, whatever, fuck it. And it has for me in a way, but I don't know. I think now that I'm thinking about it, I do think it's still a struggle that I have.
I think you should care what people think, but you can't expect them to just tell you you're the best in the world immediately, you know?
But here's the thing: if you care what they think, then you're gonna take the compliment. Then, like, if the compliments matter to you, then the insults are probably also gonna matter, I think.
Yeah, but have you like?
I guess that is how you gain self-awareness.
Let me ask you.
What people think. Sorry, go.
Are you? This might come across wrong, but
Go.
Like, are you like imagining this, or has this happened to you? Like, have you put out something that some people didn't like?
Let me think. I mean, yeah, like here and there. Like I'm not publishing like all the time, but yeah, I think. Let me think. Maybe not as much as I would imagine. Like, there have been times where I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I feel like definitely even in my personal life, like even just me, like I've rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, like unintentionally, and like I don't know, like just like
Interesting.
It doesn't feel good to like, I don't know, like I think that there's, I don't know, I think I like maybe like flare up people's insecurities somehow, maybe with the way I am, maybe like I think a lot of it has to do, like, this is vulnerable, but like I think a lot of it has to do with like masculinity, and like something that I think a lot of guys see in me is like I'm not overly concerned with like appearing masculine. Like I just like am what I am, and like I'm like fine being emotional and like more vulnerable, not always, but at times. And I think that can like threaten people, especially guys that like have this like, the title of his house book actually, but like this like mask of masculinity, like like that's what a lot of guys do. There's this like mask of like being what you think that like makes you a man. And I think that a lot of times for me, I don't know, sometimes people just like all of a sudden, and like it's happened a couple times in my life, and I don't want to like go into like specific people, but like just like get really like people have just like fucking exploded on me in these like strange, I don't know. And like I think that's kind of a fear that I have, and like a trauma that I have of like when I really feel like, I don't know, like even if I don't even know a person that well and they just like explode out of nowhere, it's just like can be traumatic. And like I've had it like, there's one person like back on the East, like I had no idea. I thought I was like, I'm friends with this person, like I barely even saw them, and one time they just like fucking exploded on me and like threatened to like, I might have told you about this, I don't know, but like threatened to like if you talk to me in this way, like I'm gonna like come at you, like watch yourself. And like yes, like this person is certainly not like fully mentally stable, whatever, but just like having that happen just out of nowhere and feeling like, and then over time it just happens every so often, and like part of me knows that like if I am fully myself and if I am just like putting out content, then it maybe it's a fear that I have, maybe it's justified, maybe it's not, but like I think that it strikes people's ego in the wrong way in some ways, and that's probably a fear that I have.
Damn. No, that's like, I mean, that's awesome that you're like, you know, so aware of that and also willing to talk about it. But I have to say, like from the outside, it's so confusing also, because even me and Armand were talking about this, was just how like what's so cool about you is you are like the most understanding, listening person like ever, like on like the face of the earth. So I just can't really imagine like what would steer somebody to be like that to you. You know, it's just very, very strange.
Damn, man. Well, first off, yo, thank you. Let's get a few more of these coming. I understand you. I'm kidding. But no, I do appreciate that. And I think that the reason that you guys can see that in me is because me, you, and Armand, we have a lot of similarities, and you guys are also very, very understanding. And I think that sometimes, I don't know, sometimes people can feel threatened maybe if they see that, and it makes them feel insecure. I don't want to, I guess even now I'm like afraid of like making someone feel like that. Like, I don't know.
I think, I mean, look, this is just how I see it, but
yeah,
that almost just seems like this person just snapped and was crazy, and like this is a fluke. Like I just don't see how you could have the how you could like replicate this. I'm not a professional. I'm just like saying what I think, but like
it has happened on like numerous occasions, like maybe like 5. Not that was the most extreme what I just told you about, but like who fucking knows. In any event, I'm not gonna. So like after that happened, and like it was randomly, this person was like just flipped out of nowhere, and I'm like, wow, this person like really, really got affected by me somehow. And yeah, I mean, after that I was like, oh fuck it, like if I can like do my best and like literally try and like be friendly and this and that, and people are still gonna have a problem, then there's literally no hope to get along with everyone. And literally all I can do is just be myself and be comfortable with myself. And if that's gonna make people fucking hate me or want to hurt me, then I don't know, maybe I'll just fucking get hurt by someone one day, without even trying to. And like it's just a risk that I think that I should be willing to take. And like I don't know, like it's just like to be complete. completely like blindsided by any type of situation that's like really intense just can be traumatic. And I guess I just have this trauma of like maybe people think I'm understanding, so they don't think that it like will have this effect. I don't know, but I've had it's happened. I'm thinking this one guy, and then like one time a friend that I thought I was like really good friends with, who I knew was kind of like definitely had like an up and down personality, but I didn't think of having like out of nowhere he like kind of said how much he hated me, and like I don't know, and like that was like 2 years, and then like we eventually like he like I don't know, like he did apologize, but just like if something completely comes out of nowhere, and if it's like malicious, and if there's really like nothing I did to cause it, it's hard for that ever to be completely healed. And honestly, with this one friend, it really is at this point, because like he's a different person, and like for someone to really apologize, it does make things better. But like there's that, and then this old like what I talked about, and that's too. And like I don't know, like sometimes people just flip out, and like I don't know where I'm even going with this, but I don't know. People have fucking fragile egos, I think. And
yeah, it's
sometimes people can feel threatened.
yeah. I mean, we only have like you obviously don't have to get into this stuff if you don't want to, but like it's just so hard to like understand. It's just hard to understand what could have driven these people.
Even I was like dating a girl, and I like visited her like her hometown for July 4th, and like we're out at this club, and like I was like, we were like dancing, I'm dancing with her, and like some fucking guy that must have like went to our high school or something just comes up to me, and he's like, I'm not gonna censor myself, he was like you faggot, like you fucking like fag, like
Just randomly?
like fuck you, like this was honestly
Like,
probably
first
the most random,
interaction?
because I had never met this guy. And this guy's like trying to like start a fight with me, and like I don't think that this fucking happened. Like everyone has the fucking shit that they must attract to them, but it must be weird. Like I was just like dancing, like I think that there's a certain type of guy that fucking gets threatened by me, and the reason I say it is because it has been a pattern. And yeah, I don't know. Like it was honestly like part of me the next day. I mean, in that circumstance, like I'm at a bar, like if he tries anything, like people are gonna like be able to like defend me. Like I didn't do anything, and like also like his friends are all around. Like I knew people around, so like I didn't feel personally threatened in that one. But it is just like it's just a little odd that somebody has like will come at me in such a way when I didn't fucking start shit. Like I wish I did start it, because then I would feel less blindsided. And we were talking about it the next day, like what the fuck, this guy just like randomly came up to Sam and like started calling him like a faggot. Like
That's crazy.
I don't know.
Like I don't see this is why it's hard for me to like comprehend, because I'm just like I don't understand that. That's really crazy, dude. Like I don't know what that is that would like how, because I mean I haven't had that happen that I recall, I guess. I mean I've had similar to like the one that really freaked out at you. I did have an experience similar to that. Like somebody that I thought I was friends with was kind of like business partners with, and basically it led to like this one night, like him freaking out thinking I was cheating him in this business, like not giving him his fair share, and like screaming in my face, like to a level that I've like literally never experienced, and like spit flying out of his mouth, like in my face, and me just like leaving like so confused, like what just happened. And then he stole from me because he had like some shit we were selling, and he just like never responded.
Damn.
Because he was so, I mean that I thought was like some serious like psychosis for real, because I mean I was doing everything as fairly as I possibly could and didn't sense there was any problem.
A lot of it is projecting. It's like whenever there's a relationship and one partner is like, you're cheating on me, I know it. It means that they're cheating on them.
Yeah, I mean, he is just clearly not a good person. But that one, it kind of like traumatized me in a way similar to what you're talking about. Because I remember after that just being like how did they get to that point without it was just it really like blindsided me to the point of like how like am I misinterpreting other people? You know what I mean? Like am I like not noticing some cues from this person or other people? And yeah, like it seems similar to like what you're saying, like because like from my perspective of you is it's like I don't know what could be attracting that. That's really strange, but maybe it's just
honestly my best guess
flukes,
is that I am comfortable with my masculinity in a way that's not like super masculine, but it's like I'm not like I'm not afraid to like say how I feel or like be courageous in different ways, but then I'm also like it's impossible to fully see yourself, so this is just my best guess, but then I'm also not afraid to like fucking like dance and like fucking like be expressive emotionally or like cry,
but still like that's the other dude's problem, because like I mean if I saw somebody dancing in any way possible, it would never occur to me to run up to them and say shit to them. Like that's crazy. Like that's very 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 strange. And like it's strange too because like I don't think I try to be overly masculine, and I haven't had experiences like that. Like I don't, because I know what you mean. Like a lot of men are like trying to be masculine constantly.
It's like armor.
Right. It's like this archetype in their head that like of a certain way to act, and even like I don't know, like posture. Like, are we sitting in manly positions right now? I don't know. Like there's just people that think like, oh, like you always have to be like, you know, sitting a certain way and talking a certain way and dressing a certain way, and like that's what being a man is. And like, oh, like there's a whole crazy community online too about like what it is to be manly, and like dude, those are some terrifying fucking rabbit holes to go down. Like I've just like seen that shit. Like I'll just get like suggested a YouTube video and I'm like, what is this? Like telling you like how to talk to women, and it's like some it's just some like person that's been so like they've had a bad experience and they've like come up with a system for navigating it and
for manipulating it.
Yeah, but it's because maybe they were manipulated. You know, maybe they were cheated on, and now they like have this whole construct about like women being liars or something, and they become this like crazy type of masculine, which is just, I mean, I think what like I didn't read that Lewis Howes book either, but I mean I think like the true masculine thing is to not do that. You know, the true masculine thing is to like, you know, spread peace, to calm people down. You know, it's not masculine to like puff up your chest and like be the first one to start a fight. Like that's fucking stupid.
It's fear.
It's
even all of that.
childish.
It's like a lot of it also comes down to like fear of like that. I think a lot of people's insecurities, it comes from like, you know, I don't know, talking like sex, and like if people are insecure and feel like women like feel like they can't attract a partner, then they are gonna feel insecure, and maybe they are gonna puff up their chest and like do all these things. And I think that like I agree. I think that's why that's why people can get offended, is because like this fucking mask of masculinity is such a lie.
Because it's like some buff dude sees you and is like, he has a level of contentness or something, like a level of sureness.
I think masculinity is just about being comfortable with yourself. And I'm not, by the way, saying that like I'm totally comfortable with myself. Like everyone has insecurities, and it'll be at least another year before I get rid of all of mine.
Yeah, that is wild though. I'm still trying to just get my head around like how these things happened, but
people aren't all level-headed, and a lot of people get threatened.
Yeah, and I think that's a good takeaway for us too, is like we can't take these weird interactions too seriously. Like the one that I had, like for a while, it's just like so dwelling on it. But then I think it was just like I just don't think he was very mentally stable at the time. Like I think it was like he was drinking a lot. He was somebody, not that weed is bad, but he was something that normally didn't smoke weed and had like started smoking a lot of weed.
Yeah.
And just living like very unhealthy, and it was just and also like we would work on this stuff at like 3 in the morning and shit. Like we would be up like super late. That was when this happened. And I was like, he probably just kind of like broke, like his brain like broke for a bit. I'm not saying
and it's easy for people to have something to blame it on, and like blaming, it's this very like it's blame is a drug, and I mean we can understand that because everyone has engaged with this drug, and it makes you feel good to feel like that. Okay, what's responsible for my pain? Oh, there's this tangible thing, and it happens to be called Matt and Sam. And yeah, and I think there's a certain lack of empathy that might come from like people don't realize the pain that they might be causing, or maybe they do and they feel that pain and they want someone else to be able to like empathize with their pain by feeling it as well. Like I don't really know. Yeah. But shit. Yeah.
To circle it back real quick.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we got on this topic through
to Austin. I'm kidding.
Sort of.
I'm kidding.
The way we got on this was because of like the slight potential insecurity of like say putting out writing.
Yeah.
And like so do you like, is that what you're afraid of with writing, or is that something else? Because I feel like, I mean, that was
maybe subconsciously it is, because writing is vulnerable and it's like sharing your thoughts publicly, and like
but like I just can't imagine like no one's gonna show up and like want to fight you because you like wrote something they didn't like. I think I could be wrong.
I mean,
don't put your address on the internet.
You never know, but I think you're right. And even if they do, I think that shouldn't share me from like, I shouldn't like be like, obviously you don't want to be like intentionally inflammatory, as a lot of writing is on the internet nowadays.
Yeah.
But you also like, I mean, in writing you do want to make your point clear and like grab the reader. So there's certainly a balance with all of this. But what I'm getting from it is like, it's like write how you talk. It's just like sit down and share your feelings. And I think a lot of it also comes down to like setting aside the time and making sure you have enough time to like actually sit down and like thinking through the process from a whole higher level. It's like, well, what's stopping me from sitting down? Oh, I don't have a quiet place to work. Oh, I'm focused on this other business, so that by the time I'm doing the important stuff, I'm mentally exhausted. Like, I think for writing is like if I am running this other business, it's hard to write afterwards. It's like writing almost has to be the first thing I do in the morning.
Yeah, it's hard to juggle multiple things too, which is why like on that like stillness and having that life designed a certain way. Like I think over time, I think doing less would be cool. Like right now, like I feel like I'm gonna start juggling like more and more projects, and it can just be stressful because I feel like there will be like a day that goes by that I'll like actually forget about a project that I have going on. Like during a certain day, I'll like not give thought to this one project, and then I'm just like, whoa, like that's a thing I'm doing.
Now that you're saying that, I think another important thing that I'm gonna start thinking about when I start projects is not only what is the plan to get it off the ground, but what is the plan to get it back on the ground? Like in a sense is like, once this thing is working, what's the plan if you don't want to spend time on it anymore?
Like kind of like an exit plan or like an offloading plan.
Yeah, or like an automation plan.
Automation plan.
Can you have this thing like, I don't know, like selling a business probably can take a lot of time and energy, but is there a way to like automate it and like get it completely out of your mind?
Right.
I don't know.
It's hard. I mean, even if you have something mostly automated, it's still taking up some level of mental energy.
Like, you're right.
But then again, I mean, like you think of somebody like Ryan Holiday. Doesn't he still have like a marketing agency?
You're right. Maybe it doesn't. And like honestly, for me with Card Buddy, like it certainly takes up a sliver of mental energy, but I'm not working on it anymore. And at a certain point, I'll probably like close down the business just because I don't have it set up in a sustainable way to like run without me, and I don't want to spend the time to set that up. But yeah, I mean, I think there can be ways to maybe automate things.
Yeah.
I don't know. Are we?
Yeah, I think we'll wrap up in a sec. What is I feel like we need an end point. Like, what else is going on? Like, what are you working on right now, or I don't know, anything I feel like like you said about getting it back on the ground. Like, maybe let's get the podcast back on the ground and then put it to a close.
Yeah. I don't know. Things have been crazy recently. Like, I've I guess it's bronchitis, but I've had not to fucking share my health shit on the podcast, but I don't know. I've been a little bit under the weather for 3.5 weeks now, so I haven't quite felt right, and I just there's been I had a breakup 2 days ago, so I'm just figuring out how to and I decided to move to Austin, so I'm just trying to figure. Oh, and the business is still going, so I don't know, trying to figure out how to get some key stillness right now.
Yeah, I'm excited to read that book. Seriously.
Yeah. I don't know. I think definitely the Austin thing has me feeling excited. The Tim Ferriss idea that I heard once is that you posted on Facebook about it. It's not what should I do or what should my goal be, but what would excite me. And when I decided on that, it feels exciting, and I'm excited for the life that I'll be able to. It's just it does feel like a blank page.
It reminds me of another thing Tim Ferriss said too, which I really liked, and I think you'll like if you haven't heard it, is he talks about scheduling a vacation a year out and saying how you almost get more benefit from looking forward to the vacation than from being on the vacation. And I can see it now that you've kind of scheduled this Austin, not scheduled, but it's something to look forward to. You're already getting the benefit of it.
You're right, man. You're right. What's going on with you?
With me?
Yeah.
What is going on? Still super struggling with YouTube. Haven't made a video in 2-3 weeks right now, which I was doing 2 or 3 a week for a while. But I've just hit such a wall with it. Every day I'm just I have a bunch of video ideas, but I'm just either who am I to talk about this subject that I want to talk about, or just that'd be hard to make, or what's the point of talking about this, or it doesn't really matter. I'm just or it's just a filler video, and it's just, I don't know, I'm really, really, really stuck with YouTube. And I know the whole reason is because I feed off of momentum. If I've been saying, and I hate to just blame the algorithm or something, but if I just got that little boost, it would give me such a recharge on it. If I just got a sliver of a boost, but instead it's just been a slog. It's just been not nothing out of just this trickle has changed. So it really has messed up my mentality towards it. And then I really want to start the interview podcast. Even a few weeks ago I was super pumped about that. But then I even feel stuck on that, even though I haven't even started. I already feel stuck because I just realized, I didn't just realize, but it's really hard to get people, especially in person. And even I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but even people that I thought I kind of had lined up, it's still hard to line them up, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And people are busy. I get that. If people ask me to do a podcast, I'm oh my God. Not that I don't want to, but it can be a lot to plan, especially if it's in person.
Yeah.
So I know I'm asking a lot, but I guess there was just a few that I was kind of they were my reserve. It was let me start out the gate strong with these 3 to 5 episodes of people I already know, people that will be great guests, people that I'm a little comfortable already talking to, not just starting from scratch, especially like inviting them into my home to have a conversation. Like, let me start with those 3 to 5. But even those are like proving to be pretty hard to like line up, which is a pretty big bummer. So, you know, like how do you ask somebody a second time that somebody you like know that like already kind of like semi blew off you asking, you know? It's kind of hard.
Yeah, it isn't. It's, I don't know. We can talk about this more, but podcasts.
We will talk about
we'll
this a bit more off too.
For sure.
Yeah, but no, go ahead though.
Yeah, I don't know. Podcasts, it can be hard to attract an audience for podcasts, even compared to like YouTube or something. Noah Kagan actually sent out this email that I'll forwarded to you about like what's worked and what hasn't worked with him with growing an audience, and it has some interesting and surprising stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, I want to put these on YouTube, and I know people will say yes. I think, look, I'm doing this to myself too. I really wanted to start with a few that I knew already. Like, I just felt like that was logical. Like,
right.
I don't want my first episode to be somebody showing up to my apartment that I've never even met before. Like, that just doesn't, like, I feel like I need to have 3 or 5 under my belt to like.
Yeah. Also, like, for that person, this is the first episode ever.
Yeah, like it's right. I mean, like that's a terrible ask too. Hey, CEO of this company, do you want to come to my apartment and record the first episode of my podcast? I mean, like, what the like? It's just. So I feel like once I get it rolling, I think, like, you know, if it can get somewhere, then I know it'd be a lot easier to get guests. But like right now, I'm just like stuck in this like limbo of I need to just line up like this first small batch first. But even that has just, like I said, proven to be much harder than I thought. So I mean, that's something I'm like trying to figure out. What else is new? I've been reading a lot. I picked up Audible again, which I mean I've always had, but like I got out of the habit for a while. And I'm just mind blown. I mean, like, I am a slow as fuck reader. Like, I'm also like an asshole to myself about reading. Like, I feel like when I'm trying to read like a physical book or Kindle, I'm just like, you suck. Like, why are you so slow? Why are you so distracted? You know, like it's honestly like a really big mental battle for me to like.
It's like
read.
meditation. It's like meditation. It's like you'll lose it. It's like, I lost it. I'm not doing good. And it's like the entire thing is getting back to it. But I understand what you're saying.
But I also feel like sometimes I'll just like not even be taking in what I'm reading. Like. Even if I am reading, like it's hard, and I've had the practice before, but it's been hard. And I realized, and I loved Audible in the past. I just stopped, but then I tried it again recently, and I was like, holy shit! I literally I listened to 3 books in like 2 weeks. I was like, dude, it takes me like 6 months to read a book usually.
Damn, dude.
And I listened to 3 in 2 weeks, and like, you know, and I'm like looking forward to car rides, and like. I'll ride my bike and listen. I'll go for like walks in the morning, walks at sunset, listen to a book. Like it's so easy to get through books. I got through David Sinclair, Lifespan. That was the longevity book. Amazing. Like, seriously recommend that to anybody. Like, absolutely incredible. Like, get it on Audible. Like, it's incredible. Then I listened to Indistractable, like a new book about like, you know, focus and all that stuff. Nir Eyal is his name. And then I listened to Atomic Habits by James Clear, which was also pretty good. And yeah, and I'm still finishing that Alan Watts book on Kindle. It was like my goal for the last few weeks to like finish that before I got Stillness is the Key. But yeah, I mean, didn't get to that, but I'm going to start reading Stillness is the Key. Got the physical one just because like I want the physical one. I feel like it's a cool little like thing to have around, you know?
Yeah.
But I think like what I like about Ryan Holiday's books is they're pretty digestible, you know, pretty small.
And it's honestly, you'll read the book and you'll get it. But in terms of having that title and that book on the coffee table versus not, even just reading that phrase kind of helps.
So, man, I have a lot of tangents to go on right now. I'll try to keep it short. But like, so the way I feel about books is similar to something I've always been with music. Because, you know, I've had obsessions with music for my whole life. And, you know, anytime I'll really, really love an album, I mean, everything's digital now. I've been like this for, you know, 10 years even. I would, you know, pirate some MP3s or whatever. And like, but once I would really love the album, I would buy the vinyl. because buying the vinyl would be like, oh, okay, now it's like in my collection, this like physical thing. I feel the same way with books, honestly. Like there's books that I want on my shelf, you know. There's you know, I might listen to a book on Audible and then buy the physical one just to like have it. But yeah, I thought this one was one that I wanted to have the physical. But yeah, so that's like a bit new. Been riding my bike, haven't in a few days, but I meant to. But yeah, that's trying to get more exercise, and I feel like coupling the habits of exercise with the reading is just like an explosion. Like it's crazy. Like I can go on a longer bike ride, and then I can knock out like, you know, an hour of a book at like 1.5 or 2x speed, which is like 3 months worth of me reading a physical book in like one bike ride. And I also got exercise. I mean, it's awesome. The longevity book has me thinking different about like health. That could be a whole podcast. We don't have to get into that, but working on my car part brand thing. I don't know if I told you if this was maybe right before or right after the last podcast. We hit like the weirdest hurdle ever with like manufacturing. The manufacturer gave up on us. So the manufacturer backed out, which I've never experienced that before. Like basically we were like a day from like placing the final order, and they determined that they didn't want to move forward with it. We were just like, wait. We were like, what? So that like set us back quite a bit. Like I thought we'd be like up and selling by now, and instead it like set us back to like, well, let's find some new suppliers. Let's get some more samples. But interestingly, like it changed we decided on a completely different manufacturing process. So maybe it was like, you know, a good thing hidden. Basically the way it's going to work is it's going to be a little bit more risk up front, but over time our unit cost is going to go down by like insane, like crazy. Like if we sell more than 50 of these things ever, and I'm talking about a high price point product, so obviously it's a little different than like the typical Amazon thing. But after 50, it's basically printing money.
Oh my, dude, margins are we can
we should get. I want to get into that like after.
Yeah.
Still rolling with the whole PTS for sale thing. About like gonna hit 10K followers in like the next 10 days or so probably, which is insane. That's cool. Like starting to like sort of lock down some partnerships with like car brokers, see where that goes. But I mean, I haven't made $1 off it, and I've obviously put in like 1 million hours into it, but it's fun. But you know, that's one thing I'm seeing where it's going. What else? It's like what I was saying a few minutes ago. It's like I'll literally forget about projects that I have going on. Obviously, like, you know, still have the businesses all going the same, like the old ones, I guess you'd say. Started this like free training, running the ads for that, hoping to like, you know, scale that up, hoping that, you know, turns into something solid. Guess that's about it.
Yeah, man. Good stuff. I don't know. We could keep going, but
Yeah. I think we went like extra long, actually.
yeah.
All right, let's just cut it there. If you're listening this far, thank you.
Thank you.
Let us know, as per usual. You know, we'll be very surprised and delighted to hear that you actually heard this part.
Yeah.
So
Let us know. Hit us up.
all right, peace.
Cool. Bye.